All right, system says it's live. So I'm Carlos, and I'm joined once again with my buddy Ameet at Titan Hockey Stick. Ameet, how are you today?
Good. How are you? It's good. It was a bit of a cloudy Sunday, but outside for most of it, it was good.
Yeah. Today was we're slowly starting to ease into that fall, like legit fall type weather. So we're really getting into it now, and we're getting a little bit closer to it, especially as we start getting closer to scary boot time.
Yeah, there's that, and then it's also the time where you hear people in California complaining about the cold.
Correct. That is right.
Yes.
That's right. Absolutely. So, like we usually do, like we've done the last couple of times, so now it is sort of becoming a little bit of a regular thing, and hopefully, some of the media blasts that I put out there just to let people know a little bit are going on. So we're doing some of these chill Sunday streams where we hang out and chat about the hobby, answer some questions. So I'm a little under the weather today. So if you notice that I look a little green, that's going to be why. So I already talked to Ameet, but I wanted to still come on, and I definitely wanted to talk about it. And we definitely have some interesting questions, at least to talk about. We don't have one big overriding topic. It's going to be a couple of little things, and a lot of it is going to be based on the chat. So I'll kind of keep an eye on it and go through it, and Ameet and I will work together, and we'll come up with some stuff here. So first, let's grab a couple of comments here. So just before the show, Jeremy came in, making tacos for dinner. Listen to Carlos and Ameet. There you go. Dream evening for some.
Awesome.
Amish Dave Archer is here as well. Howdy, Dave. Kind of a side programming note as well. I did have a little chat with Dave during the last Sports Card Live, and I'm going to be looking into having Dave on the show this upcoming Thursday. We're gonna have a little bit of a live stream. We're gonna hang out. We're gonna be talking mainly '90s hockey because that's kind of Dave's one of Dave's wheelhouses as well. And his buddy that he has on his podcast, he is a passionate hockey fan. I don't know if you know this. Like he loves hockey a lot, and we agreed that we needed to talk about hockey and especially
Yes,
90s hockey to make it all right. You know,
I agree. I
100%.
agree. You also need a show just on Pro Set.
I We could totally do that. 100%. So Paul's here as well. Good evening, Paul. Thanks for joining in. So we're gonna kind of take it at a little bit slow speed, like I said, a little under the weather. So I'm gonna work with it, and we'll make this happen for sure. So one more comment I'll grab here. The Boston Kid says, "Hi guys." Hey, Boston Kid.
Hello.
Awesome. All right. So I'm gonna start off with one of the questions here. We'll chat. We'll chat a little bit. We'll kind of go back and forth, and we're actually gonna show a couple of cards. I've got one or two cards that I've got here that I picked up in person, but I'll also show you some stuff I picked up on ComC because I have some fun, and I've got some thoughts on ComC that I'm gonna bring up as well as part of a conversation. We can have a little bit of fun with that. So let me bring up the first question. And actually, what I can do is let me see. Can I show this on the screen? Probably I can. Let me give it a try. I'm just making it a little bit bigger just to make it a little easier to read, hopefully. So let's do that. We're going to give this a go, see if this works for us. So this was one of the comments that I got on my post. It was for 2,500 subscribers, as well as asking if there were any questions for the live stream. And what came up here is Greg with a lot of G's, YF. I'm not going to try to pronounce that the way it's written. But he asked if he would ask three questions related to a topic that he was interested in, the topic of sheet cut cards specifically, which is not something that comes up all the time anymore, but it's definitely a legitimate topic to think about. What is your opinion on sheet cut cards? Number one. Would you have any reservation about purchasing or owning sheet cut cards? Number two. And number three, if you thought you possessed a sheet cut card and it was intended for trading, selling, and would you feel an obligation to let a prospective buyer know that in your opinion the card being transacted was a sheet cut card? So those are kind of the three pieces. So let me address number three first because I think it's the simplest one. Yes, disclosure. I'm a big fan of
Yes.
disclosure. If you think it's sheet cut, I would disclose that. I would at least say it because then you have no questions or reservations. And if you're wrong, it's not the end of the world. But if you're right, you've at least gone up front with that. Any thoughts about that?
I would much rather be honest and upfront with the seller, or sorry, with the buyer rather, and make sure they're aware of what they're getting because it's not worth the blowback at all. So, and also if you notice, like with any grading company and any condition sensitive listings that's ComC, they'll tell you what's wrong with the card. So this is no different.
For sure. Yeah, disclosure is number one. That's
Yeah.
always the big thing. So let me grab a couple comments here. So 90s hockey collector, hey guys, and you see the timing on this is perfect because 90s hockey collector right here. Steve absolutely loves his 90s hockey. See how perfect is that? Beautifully timed on these comments. But yeah, no, as far as that's concerned, disclosure is number one. That third question is the simplest of the three for me. My opinion, sticker cards, I don't have an issue with them. Again, if it's clear and disclosed. There are some dealers who do a fair bit of business in terms of grading sheet cut cards, and we all pretty much know who they are.
Yeah.
And they end up with a lot of high grade cards, especially from the 80s and things like that. And it's one of those things where Would I mind having one in my collection? Not necessarily if the price is right. You know, again, if it's disclosed and you know what it is and you pay into that knowing that, I don't really have an issue with it. If you're suspicious of it, then I would definitely factor that into the pricing. That's kind of a big thing for me. And then would I have any reservations about purchasing or owning? Not really. As long as I know what I'm getting into, like anything else, like an authentic or an altered or anything like that, I don't have a problem with that at all.
I have zero problem with it either. I mean, I don't own any sheet cut cards. I don't have a hankering for sheet cut cards. I've seen odd stuff come by my way. There's a Wendell Clark card, if I'm not remembering correctly. It's a Program of Excellence, but I think it's a sheet cut card. I haven't gone out of my way to buy it, but if it fell in my possession, I wouldn't hate it. So I think it'd be okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's always kind of the best approach when it comes to that. That's kind of what you have to think about. That's really a main thing for me, and anything like that always will fall under that same category. You want to have disclosure, you want to understand what you're getting into, and if you do, then we're good. We can kind of move on and figure it out from there.
Yeah.
So I've got another question here that we'll talk about the eBay API. We'll definitely discuss that as well. But let me throw this one at you. So first, let me put this comment up here from Boston Kid. Boston hockey's a religion. That's true. I can't argue with that, especially in that part of the country. So let me throw this out at you, Ameet, and I want to get your thoughts on it as well. And I want to let you have a little bit of a window to give your ideas and concepts on this. I try to pay attention to a lot of hobby content, and part and parcel of that is that when it comes to hobby content, I not only listen to what people are saying, but I also listen to what topics are coming up over and over again. And one of the things that I've noticed recently, like literally in the last week or so, and it came up on multiple different podcasts and YouTube channels and things like that, and it also carried over into podcasts, was talking about COMC. And the impression that I'm getting is that while everybody's understood and been certainly frustrated, I've heard complaints, of course, but one thing that I definitely know for sure about COMC is that I think the patience is starting to run out a little bit, and the pandemic is no longer working as a valid excuse, so to speak, for a lot of the slowdowns in terms of people getting their cards.
Yep.
Especially when they've got eBay auctions, that if you order from an eBay auctions, you get it quickly. Now I'm going to excuse myself for a second, Ameet. I've got some thoughts on this, but I'll be right back. I'd like you to get first crack at this one.
Sure. So my thought on that is, yes, the pandemic had it's a bit of a kind of a get out of jail free card. So there is a bit of that kind of sticking around. I do think they're trying their best to get out from the backlog, but I think they're kind of suffering some of the same blowback as I would say BGS is getting for taking so long to, and when I say BGS, Beckett grading card, how long it's taken them to get things back out in the market for the relative customers. I think they do have to fix it. However, I think there are more fans of COMC than there aren't. I'm still a fan of COMC. I'm uber patient. I've got a shipment of about, I think, 40 to 50 cards that's coming to me. I'm perfectly happy to get it now. Next year, they're coming to me. They're going to stay with me. I'm not really too concerned about it. The only negative I think in all of it is it's the flipper crowd, right? So right now, there's a lot of people who are worried that the cards are going up and up and up, and they could really make a lot of money in those cards they flipped. Well, the market's kind of corrected itself a bit on a few key cards. But I think that's probably the crowd that's probably voicing the biggest opinion in terms of slowness. So they want the cards, they want to be able to monopolize on it. Overall, I think there's a good point here. People are getting frustrated. It's a difficult line to walk. I know it's hard when you're someone who's a fan like me, but I do see the issues, right? I think everyone at COMC is aware of the issues. I don't think it's a surprise. I think they're going to have to work through it as best as they can, but who knows? Who knows what the future has to hold? It's just patience is a virtue in some respects, and patience is a virtue in many ways, like more ways than one. The other thing about COMC is, I think the social media aspect of COMC is, if COMC existed before social media was like a big thing, you probably wouldn't hear as much, right? But now you get more voices in the room. Negativity is huge, so everyone knows that fake news and negative news goes further than positive news. So I think there's a bit of that too, and a little piling on. So sorry, Carlos, I just saw you came back. I went on a little bit longer than I thought I was going to on COMC.
No, that's fair. I know, I appreciate it. Like I said, when I said I wasn't feeling a little under the weather, I was surprised how quickly I felt worse. The thing is, I know I'm not sure exactly but from the tail end comments you gave there, I think there is an aspect of negativity to it. Yes. Negative news does travel more than positive news. Yes. But I do think I think that the theme that I took from it, because I consider the source.
Yeah.
What's really important, because I didn't give you the context of the sources, because I don't want to necessarily advertise a lot so that people go and directly seek that out. And it wasn't the main topic of conversation. What I consider pertinent is that the sources that I gave are generally sources that are not known for being overly negative.
Yeah.
There's sources that tend to have a lot of a community thing to them.
Yeah.
A lot of hobbyists and content creators that are very much into that community aspect. So they won't jump straight for negativity. I think they're getting frustrated, and I think the frustration is starting to boil over to the point that now it's starting to creep into podcasts and content they're doing, where that isn't the main topic. But when it comes up, a lot of the negativity is starting to come through, where if we'd done the same thing a month or 2 or 3 months ago, it wouldn't have come up. They would have been like, well, we'll give them the benefit of the doubt. They got some stuff to do. And I think where they've gone to now is that the time for grace for some of these institutions like a ComC is just about at an end. I do know they're trying to hire more people. I've seen the little ads when I go scroll through Instagram. So that's a real thing and that's legit. Yeah. But I think people are looking at it and they're saying like, look, we know we're in a pandemic. We're all in the same pandemic. All companies have to react to the exact same thing. But the thing is, the way you've reacted to it and the speed at which you're reacting to it, because like I said, if I order the exact same card on eBay, you have to ship it to me fast. Yep. So I know you're capable of doing it if you're pushed. If the impetus is strong enough, you will prioritize these. But if I'm a paying customer, or even if I pay for expedited service, like I have about 340 cards sitting in ComC. It'll cost me about $200 give or take to ship it. Probably a little more now. Mm-hmm. But for that, it'll still take me 2 weeks to get it. The processing time will take the first chunk of that. The second part will be the shipping. I will get tracking. I'll get all that good stuff. That's fair. Mm-hmm. Totally with you. But it is frustrating. And if you order normal, like the normal slower shipping, it's still expensive. It's not like the normal shipping is like, oh, it's like $10 for the normal shipping. No, it's still like 70, 80, 90 bucks. The $200 one is almost a bargain by comparison, so I can get my stuff faster. But I'm paying comfortably double or 2.5 times to get that extra speed.
They also advertise the duty unpaid or paid. Well, you can get it cheaper, but you're going to get hit with the duties. I pay duties up front, so I don't have to deal with it when I get it. But yeah, there is that too.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. All that plays into it. That's what I'm trying to get at. So when we look at it and you look at the thing and go like, so when am I getting this? Next summer? Like if I order it now, will I get it in 6 months? Whereas in PSA, people aren't happy about the PSA situation either, but they're willing to look at like, okay, look at the card backlog. Look at the amount of cards that are coming in all the time. Look at how big the thing has become. But also there's another factor. They have to intake it, process it for you, send it to the graders, do all that, encapsulate it, and then send it back to you.
Well, if you look at it this way, process-wise, the two organizations, ComC and PSA, while the minutia is different, the process is, from a general sense, is the same. They both have intake.
But as a buyer, you're only dealing with the second half of the process. The initial processing intake has presumably already happened. So this would be like PSA already having the cards encapsulated and then just holding it for 6 months to ship it to you.
No, I totally get that. Yeah. I totally get that.
And that's where I think the frustration comes. It's not like PSA has already encapsulated. Oh, by the way, we've already graded it. We've already encapsulated it. It's just sitting here. It's going to sit on my desk for another couple of months, and then I'll get to it. Don't worry about it.
Well, here's an example. So I think PSA people are okay in some respects. Actually, I'll just say from what I've heard, and I know some fairly prominent graders. For example, Beckett's got the longest wait time. Sure. I have heard from a couple of people that I know very, very well. They're never using Beckett again. They just cannot. They just don't want to deal with it. So I think the same blowback Beckett is going to get, the same blowback ComC is getting right now. I agree. As much as I'm a fan of them, they do have to kind of clean it up and expedite it. I think their window to clean it up, honestly, if I were a betting man, they have to clean it up by Christmas at the earliest. They have to start off 2021 with a smash. Mm-hmm. They're a victim of their own success, but if they want people to keep sending stuff to them, they got to test stuff out. It's just as fast.
Yeah, the thing is that my overarching point is not that I have an issue with ComC because, like I said, as I mentioned already, I order stuff on ComC pretty regularly. I find some great stuff, some good deals and things, and I want another platform other than eBay. I want a second option, at least a second option. If I can have a third or a fourth option, that's even better because the competition will breed innovation and they'll get better. But I need them to be able to. They do one part of the service really well that I appreciate, and as a seller, I can see the benefits of their model. But those delays, they have to figure out. They have to accept that the pandemic thing, it was not like a 2-week thing. Like you have to figure out, like, understanding that this is going to be a problem. How can you work around it? What are ways that you can use the people you have as maximally as possible to make this a little bit better? Even if you make it 10% better, it would be a start.
I agree, but I mean, I will preface one thing. Like, I do not know their business operations logic. I can't say I do. Or I can imagine. I worked in a pharmaceutical warehouse in my younger days, so I kind of have a bit of a taste for how the input output works for a system like that. I'm sure they're trying everything in their power to expedite wherever possible. I know they're trying. They were, I believe, somewhere I read or someone had mentioned they're looking to get 24/7 support in terms of shipping and receiving, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, I think their window to fix it, quote unquote, fix it, is probably in the next 6 to 8 weeks, really. Mm-hmm. And then once they get over that, then they'll start seeing a little bit more positive news. But they're getting some, like, they're also getting blowback from some fairly big players in the game, like, who are celebrities in their own right, former players. Brian Gray, I think Pat Neshek, the pitcher.
Yeah, but the reason I brought it up is because I'm not referring to Brian Gray specifically, although I did see that.
Yeah,
Brian Gray is his own entity. He can say what he wants to say, but you do have to respect that the fact that he went out of his way to say it and, like, call them out directly is a thing. But these other ones came after that. Now, of course, they also saw the Brian Gray thing, so it becomes after a while. But there was a delayed reaction. It wasn't like Brian Gray said it on Monday and they started posting stuff on Tuesday. They started having their own, because for them, it was, I ordered something in July. I don't even have an updated status, like, on the shipping part of it. So let me grab a couple of comments here. But that's kind of what I'm referring to, is that the frustration is hit home for their own stuff, which is now leading to some of that negativity we're talking about, as opposed to just somebody commenting negatively because.
Yep.
So Ultra Pro products, semi-rigids. Yep, absolutely. The whole semi-rigid holders has become a thing because of all this. Absolutely. Now, Paul kind of brings up the point that we were kind of discussing a little bit here. If the beast was overall frustration, I think to a degree, Paul, but I think some of it is legit. And that's the reason why I wanted to kind of get Ameet's take on it as well, because he's a fan of ComC. And the thing is, on the whole, believe it or not, so am I. But at the same time, I don't give them an endless amount of rope. At a certain point, I'm like, guys, you are operating a business. Your expectation, you want to keep getting business, you still have to do certain things. Like, if I order my stuff, I've already paid for the stuff. You've got the stuff. You're holding it. I want to get the stuff now. I'm a collector. I want to get my cards. I shouldn't have to wait months and months and months and months and months when it's already in a warehouse that you control. That as a user experience, that's not good for me. I'm not going to be excited about that.
Totally agree. I totally agree. And you know what? I think I'm the mentality I have is I never need anything bad enough to cry over it. So if it takes a little longer, whatever. But that's my personality. I've never been type A. So
no, that's fair. But I think though, my overarching concept here is that I don't blame someone who has bought the cards, actually is excited about the prospect, because part of the excitement is the anticipation of getting it.
Yep.
Well, the anticipation falls past anticipation into exasperation if it takes months and months and months. Where it's like, no, I ordered it, I bought it, and I pressed the ship button, and I did that back in the summer, and now we're in the fall heading into the winter, and I don't even know if we're getting close. Like, is it close?
Yeah.
Is it almost there? Like, where are we?
I had a bit of an epiphany this morning when I ordered my Beats by Dre headphones, and Amazon was like, you're not going to get it till the 31st.
Yeah.
And it showed up on my doorstep yesterday morning. I was happier than a kid in a candy store at that point.
But
so
Amazon with their logistics, they tend to do under promise and over deliver. They would rather tell you a later date and surprise you rather than promise you today and deliver it on Monday.
So there'd be an avenue for ComC to kind of Amazonite its experience by doing a few of those and get them out there.
They might, but unfortunately, in order to do that, based on the turnaround times they're getting, it's like, all right, so the expected date, 2035. We'll beat it.
True.
We can do it.
I totally agree with it. The one thing I will say, though, and I don't know, again, I don't want to belabor the point, but No, the border closures, right? I think they have to get it across the border and
Mhm.
then ship it from our end, I believe.
I totally agree. But
Yeah.
March. So the thing is, there's been enough time where you've done it now, enough times to be like, all right, how long does this approximately take? How long does it take optimally? If it's kind of average, if it's extra problematic, you at least have a range so that you can say, okay, look, we know it's going to be super slow. Look, realistically, guys, this is the timetable we're looking at, and this is why. The
Yeah, yeah.
communication is also key. You also have to, if this is the real problem and this is the key problem for you guys right now, then you better let the customers know in the clearest possible fashion. You need to be
Yep.
upfront with that. And look, this is the problem, guys. I want to get it to you faster, but this is what's slowing us down.
I totally agree. I totally agree.
Yeah, exactly. So I like that comment from Paul though. That was a good one.
Warehouse of the scene.
Yeah.
Where the ball is coming down the
I think
ramp.
the boulder's chasing after
Yeah,
them.
the
That could very
boulder
well be. You don't know. That would slow things down to me. That would slow things down a lot.
would kill a lot of people in the run too.
And then having to replace them, that would slow things down a lot.
Then just think of all the red tape to go through investigations. There is all that. So maybe we don't want the scene at the end of Indiana Jones. I also had the biggest fear, and everyone's seen this GIF or animated GIF, not animated GIF, this video clip of a forklift driver knocking over pallets and pallets of product.
Yeah, the
in a
entire big
warehouse.
shelves, the entire like a domino.
And I was just like, one day I was looking at it, I'm like, maybe I hope that never happened to CompC. That would hurt.
Yep. So here's a comment from Dave. It's like going to a grocery store. You need a gallon of milk. They have a case full of milk. We don't do gallons here, Dave.
We don't do gallons.
We don't do gallons. But no, but I get what you're saying. They have they have a case full of milk, but you have to wait a week after you bought it to bring it home. So ComC is 100 times worse right now. Which yeah, horrid business practice. Communicating a bit more understanding. And the last point is the key one. There was, I believe, for the most part, obviously there are people who always complain, but I think there was an understanding for quite a while. Like I said, my company started working from home in March. We're in October. So if this was like June, oh yeah, we're still trying to figure it out. July, okay, August, September, we keep rolling month by month. We're in the middle of October. We're basically in November. The holiday season isn't going to make things. So like, it's a hard argument to make the further along the calendar we go.
True. It's like when you. I was going to use a really stupid analogy, but it's like a guy trying to get a date with a girl and she said, well, maybe next time. Well, maybe next time. And then this guy just keeps believing it and finally realizes at the 100th time that he's not going to go on a date.
Yeah, yeah. And the final point I'll make on this, and it goes back to kind of what I was saying earlier. A second here. I just want to make sure we're still okay. Can you still hear me all right?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Just wanted to make sure the audio wasn't getting messed up. The key point, though, was that when you do, as a consumer, the person, I'm not talking about as a seller, I'm not talking about those other aspects of it. When you do get to that point, you don't want to put a buyer in a position where I am also paying a fair, decent amount. Like I said, for my example, I can get it in 2 weeks, approximately 2 weeks. I will pay comfortably over $200 US for that privilege, which is almost $300 Canadian. If I'm paying $300, 2 weeks actually doesn't feel like that good a turnaround time. I'll accept it because it's better than the alternative, but that's still a good chunk of change, Ameet.
I totally agree. I mean, my shipment was considerably more expensive than what you're quoting, and mine will take a while to get here. But I'll tell you one thing: if it gets here earlier, I'll be the first person to get on camera and say, "Look, here's my CompC shipment. Let's go through it. I'm excited to get it." But yeah, mine's going to take a while, but mine's considerably more expensive in terms of what I paid to get it here. But it's also 5 years worth of cards I saved there. I think it's over 1,000 cards.
Yeah, no, and that's totally fair. The thing is, the 300 card lot that I'm talking about is like the last 5 weeks.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So it's like, it doesn't take me long to find because I'm not buying high end stuff all the time. Yeah. I find stuff for the Medano collection that I need, stuff like that. It's like $5 cards that CompC is like perfect for. It's like custom built for. Oh, that's a single I actually need. It's a bit obscure. I'm not going to go to eBay, pay $2 plus $10 shipping.
Yeah.
So it's like, this is what CompC is perfect for. Those are the kind of cards and I want to pick them up in bulk because I generally want to fill it. I need 5,600 cards, Ameet. A lot of those are not $500 cards. A lot of them are like the $5 cards, where CompC is the perfect avenue, but I need to be able to get it in a reasonable period of time, and I don't want to pay a ridiculous amount of shipping when I bring the whole batch.
True. I mean, I also find it funny that, to top load a card, it costs you 25 cents. Remember the days when you walk into an LCS and can I have a top loader? Yes, it'll cost you 25 cents.
Exactly.
It's like they hearken to the days of old when I'm like, really? I gotta pay 25 cents for a top loader? It's like, come on, man.
Yep. Yep. So here, Paul's got a quick comment about that. And we'll move on to the ComC thing in a second, but I just wanted to get a little discussion on it for sure. I suspect the various service levels is causing chaos. At some point, you have to stop taking an order that supersedes previous orders, that only pushes previous orders back in a never-ending loop of delays. And the thing though is this is where the consignment thing kicks in though. I think the consignment thing does add to the frustration because it's the identical card that is available in both avenues. If I see a card that I want and it's on the consignment, I can go in. I can then go to ComC and it's cheaper there. I can buy it directly in ComC directly in there, which is awesome. But at the same time, it also means that if I buy it on eBay, I know I could get it faster. So if it's like a high-end card and I really want it, yeah, I'll pay more shipping for the one individual card, but I know I'll get it way quicker. Like that's not even a guess because they want to keep their power seller status. So they got to ship that thing out. They can't, they can't,
100%.
they can't do the same. Yeah. They'll immediately get refund requests and, negatives and all kinds of stuff. Like, no, you can't pull that stunt on eBay. It was not going to happen.
Oh, I totally agree.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yep. So I agree with Boston Kate. It was a great reference. The Indiana Jones. Absolutely. So here, ComC is a great place to fill holes in one collection if they ship relatively quickly. Yeah, and I think that's the point we're all making, Dave. I think in all honesty, we all agree it should be better because the way it is, it's getting really tricky. I think in the long run, though, this is why we're all kind of crossing our fingers. Like, no, we need ComC to be good because then it's an alternative. And alternatives right now, I don't want eBay to rule the roost. They're not actually a very good platform. Like, there's a lot of problems with eBay.
There's a lot of problems with eBay. I mean, the one thing ComC has its sweet spot, which is if you're paying 35 cents to list a card plus a card to ship it to them, you're not going to send them base cards. Well, actually, you'd be surprised. People do send them base cards, but
they're base cards for sure. Yeah.
Oh yeah, but I mean, the sweet spot is between the 2 and higher, right? So if you want to fill the holes in your collection and your cards, some of those cards are like 10 cents. Some of them are not going to show up on ComC.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and Vinny kind of has the same experience, and that's the thing, Vinny. They want to keep their power seller status. Those things they got to ship out fast, and it's coming out of the same warehouse. So the consignment stuff is coming out of theoretically the same warehouse. Somehow, maybe they get Superman to do those. It's a lot faster. So they find a way. Maybe they get somebody in a hazmat suit to be like, "I'm just going to run through all of y'all. Just get out of the way."
Maybe it's like the red guy in early Star Wars. Like the guy that dies is the guy that gets all the cards shipped out. It's the red shirt.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So they keep going through a number of red shirts just to make sure your shipments get out on time.
Nice.
Maybe that's why ComC's colors are red.
Not saying yes, I'm not saying no. I'm just saying.
Anyway, sorry. I went nerd there for a second. I apologize.
Yep. All right, so Barry M says hello. Hello, Barry M. All right, so we're going to get off the ComC topic here, but let's use the eBay discussion to segue over to one of the other questions that we got because it's a very good one. And I'll read it out here for you. Again, I'll do a little share screen again for everybody just so you can all see it. Let's take a look. Okay, so this one here. So this is from Terry, and Terry's been on here before as well. So, hi, Carlos. I'd love to hear with you and Ameet. Hopefully, you didn't butcher that. Nope, you got it bang on. Share your thoughts about eBay restricting API data and the impact that could have on the hobby, particularly comps and sites that use the data. And obviously, I've interviewed and talked to people from Card Ladder and things like that use this kind of data. TerraPeak is eBay's proprietary thing now that they bought that they have in their own, and that's going to come up in my side of the conversation a bit. But in general, Ameet, what do you think about the whole thing that's going on with the API where they may not provide full access to the API any longer, or it's going to be modified in the way it's being done?
I think knowledge is power. They can control the data. You and I talked about earlier. They're going to control the data. I do think if it's done correctly, places like Card Ladder could have a bit of a boon per se, if they can get their information up to speed quick enough to actually get out from under the eBay point of view, figure out what sales they have. I think you mentioned they have some completed listings instead of showing completed listings instead of sold listings. But
yeah, what they did is that they switched, because for a while they would do, so those graphs that I've shown in the past, originally they were based on completed auction sales. Yeah. And they were based a little bit on some best offers and things like that, because they had that data. They could show you a list of transactions that involve this card. The tricky part is if eBay kind of shifts around the way it does it, then you could still do the completed auction data, because
Yeah.
completed auction data, we see it. How many bids were there? What was the final amount paid for? Now,
Totally.
whether the payment went through or not,
Is a
that's
wild
a
card.
that's a different piece of data.
Yeah.
But if it falls within a reasonable range, if the cards are selling for about $100 and the auction ends for $99.65, you're probably all right. Or if it ends for 101 or 102, you're probably all right. It's within reasonable. If it goes for $5,000 and all the other ones have been for 100, it's a bit of an outlier. We have questions.
Totally. I mean, what they're going to own, okay, they're a big player. They own the data. They're probably going to sell it for a higher dollar premium they're getting now, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're probably very well aware there are the card ladders out there. There are the market movers out there. They're understanding that people are using their data and selling it themselves, right? They're using eBay data, marketing in what vanilla label. It's like a vanilla label to put their own label on it, and they're reselling it, right? So it's got to sting a little bit from eBay. It's like, well, you know, we are the ones that own the data, so why are we selling it for peanuts? They're probably going to resell it. The one thing I will say from a comical point of view, as a seller, the next time the actual live in-person expo actually happens, and someone says, well, it's sold for eBay on X. I'm like, yes, but can you prove they paid for it? That'll be as a seller. I'm like, okay, then the conversation dies. Because as a seller, everyone at the expo who's a seller hates, but I can get eBay for cheaper. So anyway, that's a bit of a comical segue, but that's my very quick assessment of it.
Yeah, and I think the other aspect of it is that whether they paid for it is extremely relevant, because if you try to use the eBay comp and you decide to use the $5,000 eBay comp and you're like, yeah, but every other copy sold for 100.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to use the $5,000 eBay, because a seller could do that too. And be like, why are you charging $3,500 for it? It's $100 card. It's like, no, $5,000 completed auction. It's like, well, technically yes.
It's an
They pay for it.
exchange. It's the exchange rate. It all comes down to the exchange rate, which I've been told, Carlos, many times. But it's sold on eBay for $4, and this one sold for $10, and you're charging $20. Yes, how much was shipping? And then you get them added up. How much was the US dollar to Canadian dollar transaction? Yes, add that up. And how much is the pain in the ass factor? Add that up. Okay, good. Well, mine's cheaper then.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's. I will say that the world of negotiations has become more interesting since the eBay comp became a valid retort. In both directions.
Funny. Every dealer hates this. They go to your table and then all of a sudden this. And you're like, I know what you're doing, man. Just look it up in front of me. We'll look at it together.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So here, Jeremy's throwing in a couple of 2 cents here. So Market Movers is not affected by the new API restrictions, per the VP who was Comeback Card Investor a couple of days ago, not sure about Card Ladder. And he poses the question, is that because Market Movers pays for it? In all honesty, I would think probably, because realistically, yes, eBay may not be eager to do as much related to it, but they might be willing for a price. Like I said, for one thing I threw at Ameet, which I think we're kind of in alignment with, is this could be just the first move to being like, okay, if you guys want the access that you maybe had before, or even potentially enhanced access, but probably the same access, well, here's the new fee. Here's the new fee structure. Especially since you're using it for commercial purposes, well, you pay us this.
Yeah.
And then you can continue to use it, the API. Because all it is at the end of the day is Market Movers takes this data and puts it into its database to generate its longer term, kind of data. And Card Ladder also did effectively the same thing. But they also pulled some data from PWCC and some other sources in order to try to develop that much longer time scale, which is very useful if you want to look at a card over a longer period of time. But at the end of the day, how they get the data is less important than, is the data accurate? That's number one. You need the accurate data, because that's the most important part. The truth is, you can get it from a third party. It makes no difference as long as it's accurate, as long as it's correct. But the second half of it is, can you get enough data to be able to give somebody meaningful information? Because if you're only getting a fraction of the data, or the data for like certain cards, or only on every second Wednesday, well, that's not super helpful to me if I'm trying to get an overall picture of the market, because eBay is just an aggregator of data in addition to what it does as part of its primary function.
Well, right now, I would argue we're in a realm of existence in the hobby where eBay, while a big player, isn't the only player, right? You've got ComC, which arguably could, if they really wanted to, could monopolize their own data, sales data, right? Then you've got the card ladders in the world, the market movers. You've got Amazon. They sell cards on Amazon. There's other avenues we can sell cards. Facebook Marketplace. There's another place that cards are sold.
Yeah.
So it's also, as much as you talk about good data and bad data, you know what? The more fragmented data becomes, the ability for it to be bad data increases. So you can use it to your advantage in many more ways than one. So you're moving from a monopoly. So while eBay is a monopoly, I do see the card prices, where you get the sources of where they're coming from, has been deregulated, for lack of a better word. So basically, you can get sources from anywhere, right?
Yeah.
So you have a chance of error. The margin of error, I think, has increased substantially in that realm.
Yeah. I think though, and this is just my take on it. I think that we're seeing it play out in the internet age, the version of what the Beckett magazine folks used to have the problem of. Yeah, we're asking dealers how much they paid and bought for, but can we trust you? Some of the dealers are more trustworthy than others. Some of them would give more reliable information than others, but you're still asking people, well, did you write it down? Oh, well, it was like $150. In reality, it was 110. But like now you're going on memory, you're going on some murky records. In the data age, we've got all these other resources to your point. But if I do a Facebook Marketplace transaction, okay, you can see the offer. Maybe you can see my response. Did we go offline and come up with a third number? Yeah. What was the actual selling number? And to your point about did they pay or not? Well, I don't know if you did or not. Facebook Marketplace isn't going to tell me that. I could mark it sold, but that doesn't mean sold at what price.
Yeah, totally agree. So there's also privacy in around that too. So we all know that like there's a certain level of PII and privacy data that goes along with that, which opens up another whole host, which we're not going to get into today because that's a whole separate topic in of itself. But I think that it's an interesting conversation, and I think it is subjective and not subjective, right? It's not a binary, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not 0 and 1. It's very gray area, very subjective. Also, certain players that are doing financial transactions who don't use any platform, they talk to people in person, right? Another one is golden auctions and iconic auctions. They got all these auctions, Sotheby's. They all have auction data, right? That's another angle to add to the level of complexity when it comes to sales data. So, I think it's going to get my personal opinion, and we're deviating away from the original conversation and the point of what you were asking, Carlos. But I think I just touching on the topic of subjectivity in pricing. We're moving into a more and more immature model in terms of the fact that there's many players, and who's going to aggregate all this data. To aggregate all that data is pricey, expensive, and I'd imagine someone probably has some level of AI development process to try and figure out how to make that work, or maybe some of the big players do. But it's just the way it is. I don't think it's going to get easier from here on in. But you'll have to pay eBay for what it gives you.
Yeah, I think I don't think it's too much of a deviation to meet, because the thing is, part of the question was the impact it could have on the hobby. Well, guess what? That's what we just talked about, is the potential impact, because that's an opening salvo. That isn't the final answer on this, because eBay can change its mind and do it a different way. They can cut off the API data entirely to everybody. Market movers is not affected because maybe they came up with an arrangement, or maybe they found a different way to extract the data, because the eBay API is one avenue, right? Like, it does give you information. If eBay cuts that off, you could use, I'm just speculating, but these are things you could do. You could use a bot that would scan the site and look for every single sold item and just like scan the data. Now, is that a clean and easy way to do it? No, that's fairly complex, and it's rife with potential problems. But the point is, you could go that avenue even if eBay doesn't want you to.
You totally could. You totally could. I mean, you're also opening yourself up in the same realm of people mining for Bitcoin. You need power, data, server space, all that stuff to do that work. And I can tell you, when I used to scrape websites just to get content off of it using these scraping tools I had from back in the day, you could eat up 7 to 8 gigs of space on your computer just scraping a 10-page website.
Yep, exactly.
Right? So while, yes, you can do it, the ability to do it on that level is going to be, it would be difficult to pull off. You'd have to have someone with a lot of money tied up into it for a specific reason to get that data. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, you're going to invest all that money to scrape that data when you can just pay eBay for the data. It's like, instead of trying to beat the competition, just join them.
Yeah. And the thing is that when you go through all these potential ways of doing it, almost all of them have their challenges and their drawbacks, because your point earlier about the auctions and everything, it's like, yeah, you could sit there, go through the auction catalog and go item by item. And the thing is, the way a lot of these sites are set up, and this counts for market movers and for card ladder, as it stands today, the best information they can give you, is whatever they've built a profile for. Now, both of them are expanding that as time goes on. But for both cases, they're trying to focus in on what they think the most important is. Well, if a guy who comes out of nowhere right now becomes a guy and suddenly hits a bunch of home runs or scores a bunch of goals, or suddenly, the NBA season gets started and they start off with 10 straight 50-point games, but we never heard of them. Well, now they're suddenly hobby relevant and a profile will get created for them. But now we got to go backwards and go like, okay, so what were they selling for a year ago? $1.45? Okay. How many $1.45 auctions were there? Et cetera, et cetera. You got to work backwards.
But if you take it one step, okay, so you actually hit a really interesting point, though. So remember I was talking about the fragmentation of data is getting even more complicated? Mm-hmm. Well, the swings in that data is also getting more complicated. So people I'll give you an example. Sure. Randy Arozarena from the Tampa Bay Rays. Okay. Mm-hmm. I picked 6 or 7 players that I think would do well. He was one of them. So I went crazy and bought a bunch of his stuff. And he hit a gold. I hit a gold mine. In overnight, he had card going for 45 cents to 70 cents to $3 to $20. Last night I sold a card bought for $3 for $40. Mm-hmm. So it's like the swings. Where is that 90-day window? eBay used to offer a 90-day window for completed listings. Well, that 90 days is almost too wide an error margin, right? You almost have to go, what happened this week, and aggregate the data that way. It's more. Well,
the thing is you could, because right now, like I said, I'll speak to each of them. I know market movers and I know card ladder have the ability to look at a 7-day thing. Okay. They can do that. But again, what's going to happen is that if you do that, you need enough data points. So you have to fill in all those blanks. It's the example I used a moment ago where you're retroactively working through it.
Yeah.
Can you do it? Sure. But
yeah, you can.
Yeah, but that's where the value of the eBay database becomes in, because they have at least the last 90 days. If you have to suddenly work backwards, you can at least pull from a potential 90-day pool just to see. And then, to your point, you could say the first week of that 90 days, the prices were around this. The second week of the 90 days, the prices were around this. So they stayed pretty consistent for months, until suddenly they went crazy. And then you can see right about the point, you can see almost to the day where the prices suddenly shot up. And you can actually follow that. And suddenly the graph becomes a lot more valuable, because you're not just getting, it went up. Okay, but you can see where did it spike?
Yeah.
It was flat here until right this point, and then boom.
Right. So it's also the date. So where my point was, the data is being extremely commoditized. Right. Yep. It's almost like betting on coffee beans, or not betting on coffee beans, buying coffee beans.
I want to bet on coffee beans.
What's the word I'm looking for? Is it futures? I can't remember. Anyways, I could, Carlos. I could.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And listen, I've already been trying to extol the virtues of pork futures to Jeremy. I've been trying to tell him that wait until Big Bacon finally starts stepping up, and then the fortunes will be made.
What was that movie with Eddie Murphy and he swapped places with Dan Aykroyd? Was it called Trading Places?
I think it's just called Trading Places. Yeah.
And that was about the orange.
They were doing markets at the end of the movie to make their fortune, and they were like sell, and then buy. Yeah. So Vinny's online with you here. Vinny's online with you.
I don't even know who. Oh, hey. You saw what happened to Jordan. Scan the defense. So are you saying eBay and them are the empire? Which one are you saying, Uncle Vinny?
It starts with an E, and empire starts with an E.
Oh, yeah.
Is it Electronic Bay or Empire Bay? I can't help you. I don't know.
Or is it Empire Records?
Empire Records didn't turn out so well. Empire Records didn't last quite so long. But the thing though is that I just think overall, I think eBay is smartened up and realized now that these other platforms exist, now all of a sudden there's a market for their data. Yes, people wanted to look up. Yeah, people wanted to look this stuff up. That's why TerraPeak was useful for them. But TerraPeak is kind of junky. Like, it works okay. It's not a very user-friendly. So these guys came out with a very user-friendly version of it, but then eBay's going like, yeah, but you need our data for a lot of your backbone.
Yeah.
You may not necessarily need the API exactly. To Jeremy's point, they might not be as affected by the new API restrictions, but if eBay cut it off entirely, I think that would have an impact, unless you came up with one of those other ways of extracting the data out. which is a lot harder. eBay's
Yeah, it is.
cooperation is easier.
It's totally true, and it's not like one of those scenarios where if this person's on a plot of land, won't let you drill for oil on that plot of land. You just go downhill and drill it from there and get the same amount of oil. It's not the same in this industry. eBay has the money and they have the bulk of the data, so I think you have no choice. That's why I said you have to join. You have to join them if you can't beat them, and you just have to pay for that data.
And to your point from earlier, ComC's data set would also be extremely useful. And if it was in a format they could pull, that's some real time. You'd get a lot of transactional data on some of those smaller cards and even some of those mid-range cards as well, because some of those commodity cards do move back and forth really quick in that platform. And it would be great to know that information, but you'd have to have it in a way that's extractable. Now, fortunately, I have it on good authority, Ameet. We can get that. And if I order it now, we can have it by 2057. But that'll be only for this week's data. That's all you're getting.
But you have to pay no duties on that information.
Correct. That is a fact.
I will tell you one thing, though. ComC, I'm telling you, I know it's not on their radar right now. I wouldn't say fixed it, but their data is so valuable because they crowdsource their data. There's the sales data. They have all those challenges. I will not be surprised if in 5 years ComC had some sort of data package to sell to consumers. Mm-hmm. I just think that they just have more. There's more under that hood than people see.
The reason I make that joke is because I actually believe the data is there to be a commodity.
Yep.
But I'm like, well, you better figure out how to ship me my cards first before you worry too much about that. Figure that part out. But then, yes, sell the data, because guess what? Here's the thing. I know market movers, and I'm confident Card Ladder would be buyers if they could come up with some kind of an arrangement, because it only bolsters their holdings. Like, if I have even more sales data, wouldn't that make the data more clear? You would show me more.
In theory, yes, in theory.
Yeah. So it's like, and with ComC, like I said, it's actually much cleaner and easier to see. One thing that ComC has going for it, I know if the card changed hands, at least virtually. Like, money did change hands because the money was already there. You just shifted it from one account to another, and you shifted the card from one account to another. So at the bare minimum, there was a transaction. So if anything, that's an even cleaner approach to be able to see what the price was. Because that was the price. Right?
Totally agree. Sorry, I had an auction I was looking at went off. So I had an auction buzzer. So I pulled a Jeremy where I actually was bidding on something.
Nice. I know this is a movie reference, Vinny. Could you help me out on this one? I think I know which one you're talking about.
Which one?
John Cusack Will Never Tell. And the thing is, I know this is a movie reference, and I think I know which movie it is, but I'm not 100%. If you could fill me in on that one, Vinny, that would be really appreciated.
John Cusack is in several of my favorite movies, but I'm failing to see a reference to corporate business world. It's usually love stories.
Well, it could have been the Empire Records thing, because wasn't he in the record movie? What was the name of it?
Now I have to go look it up.
Vinny, help us out. Vinny, help us out. I think we're on the right track. Yeah, I think we're on the right track, but if you could help us out, that would be appreciated. No, so that's fair. So I think that puts a button on the API discussion, because we're all in agreement. I think eBay's up to something. I think it's the first step in them doing something, but it is relevant. It is going to have downstream impact, because now who controls this data, how much they let you have, how much can dole out to these other platforms is going to be incredibly done. So here we go. Hold on. There you go, Vinny. There we go.
Yes, I'm just looking for the reference for Empire Records, or is he just talking in general?
I think that's I think he's saying that is the name of the movie.
Yes.
Yeah. There we go. Perfect. So Paul C's got something off topic, and I love off topic. So let's do that. When did pitchers start sticking batter notes inside their cap? You know what, Vinny? Sorry, Paul. I'm pretty confident that I think I've seen that for a while. Like I feel like because I feel like the scouting report and things like that, they're allowed to kind of have it on their person. I think some of them have it like in their pockets as well.
Or they have a card. They'll have like a little. It's almost like one of these little laminated card.
Yeah,
they have it in their back pocket, and I've seen it for. I don't know, with baseball, I've always enjoyed the studying the games. I've watched many baseball games, and I see a lot of them have it. They have it in their back pocket.
I think it's pretty common for sure. Here we go. Here's a little bit more context for us. He was in Empire Records. That answer said, so I used them as the person who would not answer your question. Nice. Love it. See, you can rely on Vinny. He's good for that. But that's the thing, though. Truthfully, I kind of want to keep an eye on that, because I'm not worried about the eBay API today. I want to see what happens in a little while. I want to see what the next domino to drop is, because even if it's not affecting them now, I'm curious what happens if eBay starts seeing more dollar signs and they're like, yeah, about that deal we made, we're thinking about switching some of this stuff, but we can probably make it worth our while if you pay us this.
Yeah, and I think the other way you'll see it is it's just another shareholder offering for the people who buy their stock, another avenue for them to make more money. So I'd be interested and curious if that's probably what they want to parlay that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So I think Vinny's referring to something here. I'm just taking a look. So there's something he thinks you're not answering. I'm not sure.
I will admit, English is not my strong point.
Tell you what, Vinny, if you had a question and we didn't answer it, just rephrase it, and we'll do that. That explains a lot. There you go.
I do not want to know what establishment you're at right now. I just tell you that, Uncle Vinny. Just tell me no more. I'm okay. There's no more information needed.
See, we're getting references here. Clarence speaks. I'm drawing a blank on that one. I can't help you.
I'm too tired to remember that one.
All right. Sounds good. So that's the big one for that. Did you have anything else in your notes there, Ameet?
No, I think I pretty much exhausted it. Plus, I came up with a couple of items I didn't think of until we got the questions in there. But I'd be really intrigued if this becomes a product offering of eBay. I almost want to pay attention to their stocks in the next little while and see where they're trending after they announce whatever they announce.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. So let's see here. I'm just looking to see if there's any other.
Sorry, I'm going to check my eBay auction. Just give me 1 second.
He's so focused. I love it. So here's the thing, guys. I'm going to look here to see in my notes if there were another question in here. But my question to you is this. Do any of you in the chat, because I can see there's a fair number of you, did any of you have any other questions? Did any of the other questions related to either this or any of the other, or anything else? Because we're kind of open in terms of questions. But right now it looks like you guys are having fun with movie references, so there you go.
Actually, I'll tell you a cool show reference. So whenever I notice when I'm watching movies, I always love when they mention hockey. Somehow, hockey reference in there, I get really giddy. Well, there was a baseball reference in the show This Is Us on Netflix, and it was a Blue Jay, Candelaria. I can't remember the name. Candelaria was a Blue Jay, and the guy was telling him as a kid the card he was missing out of his 1990 tops or whatever it was a Candelaria rookie card. Or it's a Candelaria card. And I got it really giddy because it was a Blue Jay, it was a baseball reference, a sport reference, and a show I was watching. So I was happy.
Nice.
It's complete segue. That's an example of a complete segue.
That was very much we ventured all the way out there. My favorite random athlete cameo is in the first Mighty Ducks, because they were based out of Minnesota.
Yeah.
They had the Minnesota North Stars on there, and Medano does a cameo in that one. Even though I don't really like Mighty Ducks, I think it's a crap movie, but he was on it.
I love the Cam Neely cameo in was it Dumb and Dumber?
Was that?
Yeah, was it Cam Neely was in Dumb and Dumber? That was my favorite movie cameos.
Cam Neely.
Pretty sure he was in Dumb and Dumber, and he shows up in there for a split second.
Here you go. I think Dave's got you.
John Candelaria. Yeah. So
the name rang a bell. The name rang a bell, but I was because I remember having a lot of 1990s score 1990 tops, so it sounded like it. So here we go. I like this. Boston Kid says, "Let me handle the jokes." It's like, well, we'll see about the jokes.
Why not? We're trying to ad lib live, Boston Kid.
Yeah, well, right now I think what hurts. Normally, I like to handle the jokes, but like I said, I started off the stream a little under the weather, so I've kind of recovered. I've gotten my second wind a little bit, so it helps.
Okay, good. Go. You don't look green anymore.
Yeah, well, it took me a little while. I need to recover.
Cam Neely at Seabass. Yep. So
there we go. So Amish Dave does have a good question here that we can throw out for now. So favorite show that isn't widely known for the both of you. See, this is more Dave's style. I will tell you, if any of you have ever checked out his channel, when he does his podcast, because I think the last one was about like 3.5, 4 hours. And I swear to you, I started late. So I like to watch a YouTube video at the beginning. Even if it's live, I'll watch it at the beginning, kind of get caught up. But I catch up at 2 times speed. So I can usually, after some time, I'll get more or less caught up by the end. But the thing is, I think they were talking about Community and a couple. I can find the exact title of it. But the reality is, as they went into it, I swear they might have talked about the original topic for like 10 minutes in like 4 hours. if that. I think there was like maybe a 45-minute to an hour segue on professional wrestling and professional wrestling figures and matches and all kinds of stuff. And I just sat there like, yep, that's one of these podcasts. So that usually this kind of thing is what leads down that rabbit hole.
Well, this is a non-hobby rabbit hole. I think he's asking. I'll let you answer it first, Carlos, and then I'll
so if I was going to do kind of a favorite TV show, isn't widely known is tricky because it's like, well, what's widely known now with like 1,500 channels? There were a couple of different shows that I really liked that were canceled to me prematurely. I liked Josh Whedon, I think is the one who produced it. It was Dollhouse, and it was with the girl that played Faith on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And I actually thought it was a pretty good show, but they thought they were canceled twice. So they actually had to do like what would have been a series finale. And then because they got extended one more season, they kind of retconned it and then ran the final season as the final season and then did a second series finale where they kind of fixed the things that they would have liked to have done in the first one. But they still got kind of screwed over because like the story was interesting, but when you know it's the end and you know it is the end, you're like, okay, look, we got a lot of stuff we got to resolve. So guys, I'm going to throw this at you and here's a twist and you're going to betray you and this is going to happen. And it's like, and it'll happen like in 13 episodes of the final season. I'm like, dear God, man.
Isn't it like the last episode of Twin Peaks back in the day where it's like, that was the most bizarre ending of a show I've ever seen in my entire history of my life.
Yeah. So that one was one. I'll say Dollhouse was one that I don't think was popular because obviously it got canceled. Yeah. But I thought it was a very interesting show. And another one that I think is probably more obscure was a show called Dead Like Me. It was on Showtime. And it was about this girl that died and became a Grim Reaper. And the humor in it was very much kind of my style. And I think it lasted 2 seasons, I want to say. And I thought it was really good. But what ended up happening with it is that, again, it got canceled. And then down the road, they made like a movie after. But enough time had gone by. It wasn't the same. They weren't able to get some of the actors in it. And it's like, it's okay. But the show really had it for like that little bit there. But then it got canceled too soon. So those would be 2 examples of ones that I really enjoyed, that I loved, that didn't last very long, unfortunately.
I don't have any obscure ones. I mean, I like the show by Kiefer Sutherland. It was called Touch. Okay. It lasted, I think, 1 season or maybe 2. Mm-hmm. That one was definitely one of my favorite TV shows. That got canceled because this wasn't highly rated.
Yep.
I would say Heroes is another one. It died because of the writers' strike at the time. That one did
have a pretty decent run, though. Like it had
a great run.
Yeah.
But my all-time favorite show is The X-Files. I'm a huge X-Files nerd. I'm also a huge DS9 Star Trek nerd. Mm-hmm. But I try to not. Actually, I lied. There is an obscure one. There's an aliens documentary on YouTube, which I check out all the time by this really weird. I don't even think they're left wing or right wing. I think they're kind of in gravitational flux. They're in some place in time, and it's hilarious.
Okay, that would qualify as random. I'll give you that. Yeah. I've actually got a legitimate question here. This is going to get exciting.
Oh, good.
Before I do,
back to cards.
Yeah, before I do, one more. This one's not obscure at all, but I was just really irritated with the way it ended. I loved Las Vegas. Las Vegas was a TV show that I thought was fantastic. I enjoyed it, and then they kind of had to randomly close it, and they basically ended the series on a cliffhanger because it ended up getting canceled. And I was like,
it's like a Simpsons reference where it actually was a cliffhanger. Anyways,
it's just so frustrating. It's like you know what? It had so much in contrast to the first 2 examples I gave, those 2 had like 1 or 2 seasons, or 2 seasons, or even 3 seasons. One example. But the problem with that one was that they had like 5 or 6 seasons, or 4 or 5. And like they had developed these characters well over a couple of seasons. Like, oh, this is getting interesting. This is pretty good. Like it still had steam. It wasn't like they were puttering out at the end of that. It was just getting good. And then, meh. And then I wanted an end to this story. And it's like, nope, it just ended like this. Well, thanks guys. Appreciate it.
Just so you know, I lost the auction.
We will weep for you, Ameet. So let me quickly grab a couple of things here. I think this was in reference to one of the comments earlier, Trading Places.
Yes, yeah.
Yep. Dave loves Mystery Science Theater 3000, which was an excellent show, I will say for sure. Although I will say, Dave, like my buddy got me into Mystery Science Theater 3000. And what I will say about it is that I loved it, but it really didn't feel like there was, it was definitely a series, but it didn't feel like there was a lot of continuity between the episodes. It's like every episode standalone, which isn't a bad thing because obviously the nature of the show. Are you familiar with Mystery Science Theater 3000, Ameet? Long story short, it was I'll send you some links because you'll get a laugh out of it. It was basically a thing where a guy gets shot up in space and basically builds robot friends who are basically puppets, and they sit there and watch bad movies. That's their punishment. He was being punished by being forced to watch bad movies. And his way of dealing with it is he's got his robot friends with him, and they all basically make jokes at the entire movie. It's pure snark, endless snark from beginning to end. But they are actually playing the movie the whole time, but they make fun of almost every aspect of the movie and riff off of it.
So bizarre.
It is, but it's very funny. When it's done extremely well, they do a very good job. Because these movies are genuinely terrible. Like, I don't mean moderately. I mean, they're true bottom rung garbage. So that's what. So it's kind of fun when they riff and have some fun with it. So real quick, I'll grab a couple of points here, and then I'll get to the actual question. Yep, Jeremy loved Las Vegas too. It was a good show. I thought it was really good. Vinny approves. And yeah, the thing is, they had a fantastic cast. They had James Caan and then moved to Tom Selleck. Like,
Oh,
really
James
good.
Caan was on that?
So, like I said, this show was good, man. I was so irritated when they ended that one. It killed me. Paul loved it. Mystery Science Theater 3000. Like, I got to send you some links, Ameet. You got to check out a couple of
I'm looking
episodes.
it up right now.
You get a kick out of it. All right, let's go to a legitimate sports card related question. Here we go. So, Teal Blue Jay. Hi, Ameet. Sean R. here. During the next basketball season, do you think we'll look back at the 2019-2020 Prism basketball as overproduced and prices continue to fall, or be absorbed as prices rise? Thanks. Thank you for your question.
I've been thinking that one over for such a long time, and I can't quite wrap my head around it. I think the garbage will fall and the cream will rise. So the good players will stay hot, but I think the absolute garbage, the overproduced stuff, will start fall hard, and I've already seen it.
Now, a question. Let me ask you a question kind of following up to that. Do you think it is really overproduced, or is it overproduced relative to the last couple of years? Because we've got real overproduction. We're talking like 90s overproduction. We're nowhere near
I don't think it's that.
We're nowhere near that. But I'm saying, like, where do we fall on the scale? Like,
I think you hit the nail on the head. It's the last couple of years in terms of production.
Okay.
But based on you can't even get wax anywhere and people are still buying it, that's leading me to believe there's not enough out of it there to sell, right? They need more to sell to these people that keep wanting to buy it and bust it.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing I think to answer the question is, even though the people are out there to buy it and bust it, is what's going to happen to those singles. And you'll see tons, and Comte is a pretty good example. It shows tons and tons and tons and tons of them. But I think the cream of the crop will rise, the rest will fall. And like if you're buying like some, I'm pretty sure Bulbul is going to fall. I don't think Bulbul is a long.
I don't know, Meat. I saw him on a list of goats once upon a time.
Yeah, there you go. But I think the good players will rise, and I like the Tyler Heroes. I think those will be good. But I think there's still a lot of Tyler Heroes. I think you have to look at the select cards that'll come out. That'll be the ones you want, like the parallels, the serial number stuff, different color parallels. Those will be good. I don't know. I'll be honest, Sean. I've been thinking about this probably for 3 weeks now. I'm like on the fence. I just don't know enough to know yet. I have a sinking feeling. Let's just put it that way.
Mm-hmm. I think maybe the prudent approach here is to do the opposite of what Jeremy sometimes advocates for the goats. In this case, don't set the new high record. Don't set the new high price. Try to set the new low price. Try to be on the other side of it. This is where if it does go up in the long run, you can give yourself some leeway by trying to find a deal a little bit. Try to see if you can maybe get a deal in bulk. If you really believe in a player and they're in that series and you can get a bulk deal and get the price down per unit a little bit, that might be your best play.
Ziggy Palffy.
That's a 4D chess play, Ameet. Yeah. That's not even 3D chess. That's 4D chess.
I think there are, honestly, Zygmunt Palffy is a diamond in the rough. When we're 96 years old and those cards disintegrate inside the holders or the PSA holders, the ones that are not disintegrated will be the ones that people want.
I think given the quality of the cardboard, when we are 960,000 years old, they have disintegrated. Okay, so let me grab a couple of comments here real quick. Yeah, I think Dave here is referring to Mr. Science Theater 3000, which I think that's right. Yeah, that sounds about right. I believe that's the one he's referring to. You can correct me, Dave, if I'm wrong on that. Jeremy says, did anybody see Get Shorty with John Travolta? I do. I think he watched that movie. That's right. Let me say also hi to Ken. Howdy from Texas, y'all. Howdy, hey, Ken. Boston Kid says, great chat. Appreciate it. Thank you. Here we go. I actually looked at Bowl base today on eBay, and people are still paying $10 for them. Considering where they started, you're still in the black. If you bought them for pennies on the dollar, which you should have at the beginning, you'd still be doing okay. That's why I say, like, if you bought them at the real price. Go ahead.
The one thing I will say though is I do think that when I said the cream will rise, I think you also have to look at picking up the guys that are cheap for teams that might be like the bubble playoff teams next year. That might be the opportunity. And considering Bol, Manute Bol was my favorite basketball player besides Charles Barkley of all time. I love Manute Bol and Charles Barkley. So I have a soft spot for Bol. Yes, I bought a couple of Bol cards just because.
Is that what you're covering up with the sheet there? Is that not covering up the shelf? It's covering up the Bol shrine. Don't lie to me.
There's a Bol shrine. Sorry, this way. Bol shrine here.
Yeah,
And I'm using this as a means to hide all my Ziggy Palfy PSA cards that I have back here because I don't want to embarrass anyone with the riches of Ziggy Palfy cards I do own. Oh, and it might be a Greg Jeffries.
We were joking about the Bol one, the Ziggy Palfy one. He's not joking. I saw it before we went live.
Yes, and also Greg Jeffries. That's another one.
Of course, $88 Greg Jeffries. That's a GOAT card.
Yes.
No question.
Yep.
So we go Boston Kid here. Cards movies. The only thing missing is girls. I think the closest we might get on a sports card live stream is going to be if somebody plays the song.
Yes.
That's the closest we're going to get there. Yeah, and Jeremy reiterates kind of what I say. Only set the record for truly rare card, never for a commodity card. And that's the reality. That's what I'm saying. Like for a card that is produced in decent amount, you have to try to like it's like real estate. You win the sale at the time you buy. Like if you buy at a good price, that's when you'll win.
If you win the sale, of course, that's a good price.
The thing is, you can overpay for a piece of property to the point that it's almost impossible for the market to catch up to you. Like, yeah, except you have to wait years and years and years and years and years. If you make a good price at the beginning, like if it's bargain basement, then maybe something's wrong. But if you do a good price, then when the market goes up in short order, you win almost immediately. Like,
you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. Like that. Let me put it this way. When I bought this condo, the people that were selling it did almost every mistake they could have. I got it for under market value. There wasn't anything fundamentally wrong with it. They had just driven away potential buyers with a lot of weird terms they came up with. So the end result was I was competing with no one. So I got it for under market value at the time I bought it. The one beside this one sold for $80,000 more than I bought this one for the next week. It's the same unit. It's the same design, same layout. They didn't do anything special to it. They just sold for under market. I've been here 6 years. To my knowledge, the ghosts here are friendly. Like there's nothing fundamentally wrong that I can see. The hauntings are only on Thursdays. We're good.
True.
Yeah. But that's what I mean. Like if you can buy it at a decent price to begin with, and that goes for any kind of card, if you can buy it at a good price to begin with, then you've got room to win. But if you overpay and it's a card with a ton of volume out there, you're doomed. like
I agree. Yeah. I mean, yeah. The other thing you have to look at the rookie classes in these different volumes too, right? So there's that too.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Manute Bol shooting threes. Like when somebody that tall can legitimately hit threes, it's scary.
He was my favorite. I love that guy.
So then we will see the Bol shrine now in honor.
And just so everyone's wondering, if you don't want to give away the score in a baseball game, if I yelp or say hooray or scream, I apologize. Scream. Yeah, I might scream.
If there's a primal scream, you'll know that something happened in the baseball game.
Well, it'll mean Acuna is going to be worth more tomorrow. Let's put it that way.
That's fair. I just had to scan the score while you were saying that.
I've been watching the whole game. I'm trying to look discreet, but my eyeballs are like darting over. Like
yeah. Subtle like a sledgehammer to the face. Well done.
Yes, there you go.
Good job. So in the course, so while I stepped aside a little bit earlier, Ameet, did you have a chance to show off any cards?
I did not. Went off on a tangent. But
do you want to do a couple of cards here, and then I can show a couple as well.
So I will show you a couple that I had. Okay, I was telling Carlos earlier. We were cleaning out our garage, and I found an envelope which I thought I'd lost a package. Turned out the package did arrive, so I had to pay the guy today. Anyways, long story short, been wanting one of these. It's a Gretzky stick piece. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah. Now, which year was that? I'm familiar with the series, but I don't remember which year that was.
It looks like it's 2000, so probably 99, 2000 or 2000.
That sounds about right. Yeah, I think that's right.
Is that?
Yeah, so that's a Gretzky piece there, a Gretzky stick card.
And then I got something else cool, which I thought was cool. Always a sucker for Legends cards. Johnny Busick.
Nice. And those were all like the cut cards where they had like the piece of paper. Was it a sticker or a piece of paper? I forget.
It's a piece of paper on these.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. So basically, in effect, they created their own cut. They took a piece of paper, had him sign it, and then put it inside the card.
Yep. I'll show you one that I bought, and I don't know why. I'm still trying to figure it out. I told Carlos earlier.
Check it out, guys. Now, please tell me, oh, that's an near mint 8?
Oh, that's 8.
On top of everything else, it's an 8. So that's an 8990 O-Peachy Brett Hall PSA 8 because reasons.
Let's find out how many are in existence.
It's got to be a ton. Well, actually, no, that's not true.
Gonna scan the barcode now.
No, that can't be true. Actually, I'm gonna guess like 500. It's got to.
Oh wow! So there are only 20 of these and 136 with higher population.
Yeah, I was thinking again. I was rethinking it as I was talking about. I was like, why would that card wouldn't be sent in that kind of number? And at the same time, you'd want a 9 or a 10 if you were going to even bother with it.
True.
An 8 had to be somebody's disappointed. I bet you got it for like $5.
I don't even remember. A cool thing I got is I went a bit nuts at Walmart and bought some of the base sets with a chance of getting the gold set. Sorry.
Oh, they had the base sets where you were?
Yeah.
Nice.
So I bought 6 of them, and one of them was the gold set. So that's one of the rookies from it. The rest are still being cracked out. I went a little nuts. So there's a lot of them.
I see.
I'm a sucker for. Here's another card. I think that guy is the future.
Yeah, Boba Fett.
Yeah.
See, Paul C's got you. You know what you need to do, Ameet.
What now?
Put low pop on the title. Hashtag invest.
I will do that. And then I got my Topps 2020 cards in. So I love these. I don't care what people say.
That was a decent one. I think I have a copy of that as well. That's actually.
I love that one.
By the way, this one Dave here has got you on the menu poll.
Yeah, do you know how much they are?
I don't think they would be that. I know the cards from 86, 87 Fleer have gone up. I don't think it's that crazy. So this is the Chang, right?
Yes,
this is the Chang.
She's my favorite artist, and I'm trying to get all of her cards.
Are you missing some of the older ones, or
the ones that are too expensive? Yes, but the newer ones are fairly cheap. And is my favorite player of all time, Jackie Robinson.
Yeah, I got 2 copies of that because my buddy wanted one of those, so we definitely picked it up.
And then I got my favorite artist in the whole set, which was Mr. Cartoon. So anybody who knows hip hop really well, he is a legend in hip hop. If you don't know him, there's a show on Netflix about Mr. Cartoon, and you can listen and figure out why he's so big. But he's like a big part of my growing up. So I was listening to a lot of hip hop growing up. So I wanted to make sure I got that.
Interesting. Grab this here. Dave Archer is a big fan of the Keith Shores. Well, then, my friend, I hope you have a lot of the Griffey Keith Shore. You can have as many as you want. You can buy them by the pound.
Yes, you can.
You can, yeah. I'm sure they're out there.
King Saladine's my second favorite artist in the whole set.
Okay.
So I got a bunch of his.
They're colorful. I will give him that.
And I bought this guy. It's I can't really call himself now, but anyways, it's very much like my art. So
you know what I like about that one? I have a copy of that one. What I like about it is that basically it's Trout Cyclops.
Yes.
And there's a companion card that actually, if you put it on the other side of it, it's actually pretty cool. Like the companion card actually goes really well with the whole whatever is going on with Trout Cyclops.
That's really cool. And like, you know what? I'll be honest with you. I do some art on the side, so my art is kind of more in line with this kind of art. Yeah. Which is a bit more abstract, so I bought it for that reason.
Yeah, I would say that's probably one of the better Trouts, to be honest with you, out of that collection.
There's that one. And one I have reservations on, but I bought it anyways. I decided not to buy any more. I'm not a huge Ben Baller fan, but I picked up that one because it's Jeter.
Okay, Mr. November. Okay.
Yeah. So Jeter is one player I'll pick up, right? Jackie Robinson's another one. And then my last one I'll show you is this one. I like that.
Okay, so you got the that's the card number 100 or 200?
Yep, 100.
Yeah, I thought so. Okay.
So I bought it because it's card 100.
Yeah, that was the big collab between
Yeah.
where Ben Baller did like the rookie card logo
Ben
thing.
Baller did the outside, right?
And and the rookie logo I think it was bedazzled. It's part of it as well.
Doesn't look very bedazzled here, but
Yeah. The actual rookie card logo. I think he blinged it out a little bit as well, didn't he?
well, no, the name Mike Trout is blinged out,
Oh, okay.
right? The rest is typical athlete's portraits. Now, if you have a name right now,
It's on the back of the card.
oh, Ben Baller did the bling. Blake Jameson.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Nice, nice. That's fair. Yeah, so Jeremy likes the Keith Show. I remember that as well. So there you go. Great minds think alike. Very good.
Just warning, Acuna is up to bat. That's all I'm saying.
You get a random primal screen, that'll be you.
The primal screen? Hold on here. Where are you
I don't
going
know. I don't know how excited you're getting about this. I can't answer that question for you.
You
So that's a no problem screen this time. I see.
no.
I see. So I'll show a couple of cards here, and I'll kind of quickly go through them. This one, these actually came up. 1 second here. I like this question. I have Ben Baller muted on Twitter. Is there a way to do that on YouTube? You want the anti-subscribe button? It's like no. Here's the thing, though. Jokes aside, Ken, there actually is. There is a way where you can not see videos from certain channels.
Really?
Oh. Yeah. I can try to show you guys. That it is possible. See if I can find one here. I'll just do it random.
I have more cards I found that I hadn't opened yet. I'm just going to do them right now while we're on camera.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. So while you're doing, let me just take the comment off. Let me actually show you guys. I think this should do the job, and you guys can check this out on your own time later. But I just want to show you. So let's see here. If I'm going to do a screen share here for you. All right. Here's my YouTube screen. There's a bunch of stuff here. This is just the general home tab here. But this is Highlight Heaven. I haven't watched any of their videos. I might have watched one in the past, but regardless, if for some reason I decided I didn't like these guys, then I could actually do this. There's the 3 buttons here on the right, and if you click on that, don't recommend channel. So if you're not subscribed to it, it would actually keep it off of your feed. Now, if you're subscribed to it, then I don't know why you're trying to mute something you're also subscribed to. That's kind of weird, but in theory, you probably could. I think that actually has worked for the most part. So I think you can actually do that. So it's not a mute per se, but it won't show up in your feed if it's a channel you're not interested in. So you can do the specific video, I don't want to see it, or you can do the channel, I don't want to see it. And there you go. So if something is really spamming there, you don't like to see it, there you go. It's a way of avoiding it. Cool. So I'll do a couple of cards here as we're sitting there chatting. I did this, so if you saw my pickup video this week, you would have gotten a chance. Here we go. No worries, Ken. Like I said, like one thing I'll say real quick, Ken, and if any of you haven't checked it out before, I'll put it up here. So Bean's Ballpark blog, he does the videos from time to time as well, and I think Ken has a bit of a love-hate relationship with the YouTube sometimes. Not the community, because the community he's definitely a part of it and he enjoys being a part of it. But I think the making the videos and sometimes the way people react to videos, I think gets to different folks in different ways. But one thing I'll say, if there's stuff I genuinely don't want to see, I use stuff like that. For the most part, I generally don't have too many issues because the algorithm at this point figures out what I want to see. And so it's pretty good at it. Although sometimes I'll get some random stuff, for sure, like everybody else. But then that option's available for me. But when it comes to making a lot of this stuff, you got to have fun with it. For me, this really is a second hobby inside the hobby. Like I don't do this stuff because I need to. We joke about, occasionally I'll joke about with Ameet or Jeremy or whatever, the whole monetization thing. I turn it on because it's like, it's literally a couple of bucks most of the time. My channel does all right. I'm not one of the big channels. I don't do a ton. But even if I multiplied everything by 10, I multiplied all the earnings from this YouTube channel by 10, my views and everything by 10. That means at my old job, when I was getting paid by the hour, it means that I would earn the same amount of money in a month on YouTube if I multiplied everything by 10 by lunchtime of the second day of the month. It'd be a day and a half's pay if I multiplied everything by 10. So it's like, I'm sorry, guys. I can sit there, and as it is currently, because it's not 10 times, I can earn the same amount of money eating my lunch Like sitting in my lunch hour, I bill that hour. It's more money than YouTube pays me. So I'm, we're not getting rich off of this. We're doing it for fun. We're hanging out. We're hanging out on a Sunday doing this because it's fun. We're showing off some cards. We're doing all that stuff, but that's all it is.
Yep.
So, don't try to take it too seriously. No one in this sports card space is getting rich on this stuff, guys. So if somebody,
And I don't take myself seriously anyway. So.
yeah, and if somebody monetizes their channel to get a couple of cents so they can buy a coffee, don't give them too much flack for it. That's all I'm saying. Give them a break. It's not like they're earning big bucks anyway. So you go YouTube 102, no worries. Yep, YouTube algorithm is better than the. I'm guessing maybe you're thinking Instagram. I'm not sure because the YouTube algorithm is better than the YouTube one. I'm guessing Instagram is one of those. I'm not sure. Your algorithm is sports cars and Sasquatch sightings. See, that's quality content, Paul. Quality content. So real quick, I'll show you guys this. If for whatever reason you haven't seen my pickup video, this won't be a spoiler for you, but I will show you a card that I picked up on ComC that I haven't shown yet because obviously it's still in ComC. These are a bunch, so I'm going to pull off the last three here just so that I don't double it up. So these are a bunch of cards from 2020 Prism, and these are from Numbers Game. It's a parallel called Numbers Game, or sorry, an insert. So we got a couple of different colors there. You got the checkered one. You got a couple different ones. So this is all part of a 20 card lot of Juan Soto's that I picked up. Now the thing is, the lot included these ones that I just showed you, but it also included a bunch of other Prisms cards, including another insert called Instant Impact. And for that one, it was this entire group here. So I'm going to try to fan it so that you can see it okay. So I don't know if you can see that okay, Ameet. You let me know.
Yeah, I can.
So there's a bunch of them here you can see, including like the snakeskin one, which is actually kind of cool. I like when the patterns are interesting. So you can see the snakeskin one there. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I like that. But the big draw and the reason I bought the lot is that it came with this guy. That's the gold 1 out of 10. So a bunch of these are the numbered ones. Now, these are all unlicensed cards, so they're not going to be worth as much as like a licensed version of the same thing. But I got the 20 card lot. It was actually 19 cards, and they tossed in a memorabilia card for Soto for me. All in all, about $80 Canadian. So it worked out to about $4 a card, including a card out of 10. Like that's basically what I would have paid for this if it had just been straight up for auction. I'm not.
I got a trout. I picked up a trout one from Prism. I was like, okay, I'm just going to hang on to it, see if it goes up.
Yeah, and the thing is, I like the cards. And the thing is, if the player's hobby goes up, those cards are going to go up too. Now they won't go up as much as some of the licensed ones for sure, but they're still neat cards. The parallels look awesome. They're fun. They're fun to look at. They're fun to fan out, and you can put them in a binder, and they're going to look awesome on the pages, and you can have some fun with them. And I was able to get them super cheap, and that was in an auction. That isn't like a sneaky buy it now that I caught everybody unaware. They had time to bid on it, and I won the auction straight up. I can't complain about that.
I lost my second auction today. Ugh.
Devastating.
I'm really not happy right now.
Anyway, so this other one was also in the pickup video, but I'll show you guys as well. So a little bit of hockey as well, since we're in Canada. So this is 97-98 Zenith. So these are the Gold Impulse 5x7s. You remember these, Ameet?
Yep, I just bought a lot of them actually.
Are they cut or uncut?
They're uncut.
Yeah. So the Gold Impulses. Did you get any good players in it, or just?
I just got the lot. It's downstairs being decontaminated for 2-3 days before I open it.
Nice. So it was just like a random lot of gold Impulses.
Yeah, a random lot of those that set. I don't know how many of them are the gold ones. I have to see. It was
so
just
the gold Impulses are numbered to 100.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there was one in there, but I don't remember 100%.
So if it's a Medano, you know what to do.
Yes. But you've been buying all my Medano, so I appreciate that.
Yeah. But that has been I picked up the Curtis Joseph because I just thought it was a cool card and I wanted to have an example of one. That one was definitely cut. And it was cut actually very badly. They did a terrible job. Yeah. I remember getting those in 97, 98. And the thing is, you just need to take an X-Acto knife and just cut a straight line. Use a ruler. Like, it looked like the person who did it was like drunk. I don't know if you can see the actual cut.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, what the heck? But it is still a card out of 100. And if you're a Curtis Joseph collector, this is still a nice card. Yeah. Nothing wrong with it. Like, I enjoy it for what it is, and I'll have it in the collection for now. But at some point, I'd like to get the Medano for this. And these are proving tough to find. Not quite as tough as the Z Golds, but my God, these are tough.
I actually bought a bunch of the chronology ones off of ComC just so I can rip one open. I've been waiting for it to come.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They were a fun concept. Here you go. Yeah, Dave is a Berdure collector, so he's in the same
Ah,
boat as I am. So a lot of those '90s Berdures, they the thing is, some of those are tough, man. There are
yeah,
certain set. So when we talk about it, Dave, I will tell you in advance. One of the things I want to talk about is some of those sets that are just tough because there's some of that '90s stuff that is like it's off the charts difficult. You wouldn't think so because one of my personal favorites is good old Prime Choice Reserve. I don't know if you
yeah.
remember that one, Ameet.
Yes, I do.
Like tougher than you'd think. In the same vein, I did find something on ComC for that. I go, not the one that I want, but I was like, you know what? I want one in my hands just to look at it in person and just be able to take a closer look at it because
Have
I
you
haven't done
seen
so.
one? Have you had a card that was in your hand and you said no, and then you regret it ever since?
That I had in my hand and said
Yeah, like
no
you had
was
a card that you wanted. It was a
okay.
fairly hard card to get. You
Yeah.
held it, and then you just like, I can't, and walked away. And then within seconds of walking away, you walked back to try and get it. It was gone, and you regretted it ever since.
Okay. So you mean like I can't because like it was expensive or something like that?
Whatever reason, could have
Okay.
been the wind was blowing the wrong direction. Doesn't
Yeah.
know. I don't know. You
Yeah.
just made a decision. You said no.
Okay. I haven't encountered that too much because usually since I focus so much on the Medano collection, if it's in the checklist and I really want it, it becomes I used the clip once in one of my videos. It's the Wayne's World. It will be mine. Oh yes. So it's like no, it doesn't leave my hand. Like it's like all right, take my money, you idiot.
Yeah,
That usually it's like look, just take it. Now
yeah.
if it's like a $10 card and they're asking $500 for it, then I'm like take this, you idiot, and I throw it back at them. Different conversation. But if it's something that's reasonably priced, it's within reason, and it's one of the ones that I need, we find a way to get the deal done. I'm a really easy person to sell to if I want the thing.
Yeah, this one it's the Artifacts Wendell Clark out of
Yeah.
one. I
Mhm.
believe it was 0607. It was a horizontal dual patch. I think it was dual patch. It was a one of one. The guy had it. He wanted $100 for it, and I said no at the time. And $100 wasn't obscene.
Mhm.
I just at that time I didn't have to scratch, and I'm sure if I turned to my buddy, he would have given me the $100. But
Mhm.
I walked out of the store. I went to walk back in an hour later. I'm like, "Can you get the hold of that guy?" And the guy's like, "I don't even know who that guy is.
Yeah,
I've
no, for
never
sure.
seen it since." It's
I
like
will say though, Meet, what kind of makes it more likely for you to encounter that scenario is that you collect stuff, but you collect stuff you like, you collect stuff that catches your eye, but
yep,
it's not like you collect a specific team or a specific
no,
player. So that makes it having the narrow focus of it. It makes it a lot easier because you're like, do I need it or not? And if
yeah,
the answer
totally.
is yes, it's like, you know what, we're getting this deal done as best I can. I'll get this, unless you just make it impossible. If you're asking for more money than I could possibly imagine paying, I can't do it.
It's like
But
you pick up stuff like that for no reason. I
yeah,
told you that earlier.
yeah, but that means you are going to spread. It means you're going to spread, but that means you're spreading the wealth.
Yep.
And I'll be honest with you, that's a video topic I will have at some point because I want to kind of give out that advice. The folks that are watching this, you don't need that. I'm preaching to the converted. You know this already.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of folks out there that get excited and they start buying a little bit of this. They start this project. They start this project. They start this project. But the problem is, if you really want to finish any of those projects, this is the fastest way to never finish any of these projects.
But
Yeah.
here's see, it's funny you brought that up.
Mhm.
I can't remember who I was texting with. I think it was Jeremy or someone I was texting with. And it's like it's
Sure.
almost overwhelming, right?
It
There's
is.
so
Yeah.
much out there,
Mhm.
and you spread yourself so thin, and then you never end up finishing everything. And then
Yes.
I kind of dialed back to okay, I got to go back to what I know.
Yeah.
Right?
It pays to go back to the basics sometimes. It really does.
Yes,
Something good happened in the game.
yes,
Yeah. But it does, the point though, Ameet, that you're alluding to is that it does pay to go back to the basics sometimes.
it
Because
does,
sometimes
and
it's
I
like,
did that.
there's so much stuff. It's so hard to feel like you have to get everything. And it's like, I literally need thousands of Medano cards. If I did that, I would overwhelm myself. It's like, I don't think about that. I'm thinking about, for 99, 2000, how many do I have? This is how many are on the list. What am I missing? And I have a bunch of them, but it's like, okay, if I narrow it down to 1 year and I'm focusing on that for a little while,
Yeah,
that's a very narrow list. It's a lot
yeah.
easier than looking at thousands and being overwhelmed. Like, oh my God, I have to buy this. I'll run out of money. Like, I can't do it.
Well, it's funny because the things that I like aren't super expensive. It's just it takes my attention away, right? I literally had to dial back.
Mhm.
I had to dial back and say, look, for Tops 2020, I like them all. I'm not going to buy them all, so I'm going to buy two artists, Sophia Chang,
Mhm.
and I'll buy King Saladin. And if I see any other ones, I'll just do that. Well, yeah, Wendell Clark is my goat. He's my greatest of all time. So
Yeah.
I have a real soft spot for the guy. He was the kind of player I loved to be growing up. Loved to play. I loved to watch.
That's why you have so many penalty minutes on your rookie card.
I do. Actually,
Just styled after that game.
Very much so. I almost wish I could be like it was Dave Hunter that bought the penalty box at the old Maple Leaf Gardens. I wish I could have done that. Yeah.
Nice. So let me quickly grab a couple of comments here. So yeah, kind of in the same vein. So Ken's talking about his Andrew Shaw collection, but by the way, is excellent. If you get a chance, if you go to his channel, there is a video on the Andrew Shaw collection, and it's an excellent collection. It's fairly complete for the size of the checklist that Andrew Shaw has. He got quite a bit of them. He did lose a little bit of steam for them then when he left the team, but it's one of those things where like if you find a reason to enjoy it and to be passionate about it, by all means, it gets to be a little bit of fun. Vinny's kind of in the same vein as well. So just do it. I did it one time. Don't be like Vinny that one time. Basically, the walking away if you see something that you think is almost like a fair price. It's really hard to have that regret. I try to live my collecting life so I won't have a regret. If I can't, I can't. And if I can't, then I can't regret it because I couldn't. Even though I wanted to, then I didn't have the choice. But if it was within my power, like I'll do my best.
That's kind of why I started bulk buying because I couldn't decide which one I wanted. So I was like, I'll take everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Dave's bang on about this one. If you feel good about the price, it might be technically an overpay. I overpay for cards on a regular basis, but I'm not overpaying thousands of dollars. I'm overpaying like $5, $10, $15 more than probably I'd want to, but like what the heck? Just because I was like, you know what? I want to have the card in the collection. I'm content with this price. I'm not gonna fight tooth and nail for $2 or $3 or $5 if it's a card I really need. Unless it's so common that I can find it anywhere, then what's the hurry? I'll get it later. Different conversation. Missed out on 4 different Shaw 1-of-1s because I wouldn't overpay, and that's fair. That's fair. This is true. This is when you do the streaming. His game reaction 3 minutes behind a cable feed. It's like, what's that? Atlanta's up 46-0, Paul, you say. Sorry, 46 like 2 or 3. I don't remember what the score was.
Just to give everyone context. So I bought a bunch of players at the beginning of the year, or beginning of the playoffs, hoping that they would go far.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I'm torn because Atlanta has Acuna, which I bought a lot of.
Okay.
And LA has a few players I bought a lot of. So either way, I'm going to do well. But I want to do well, more Atlanta do well, because I actually like Acuna because he's such an in-your-face player. And that's he's kind of like a hockey player playing baseball. I love it. I love his panache. I love his attitude. And also be really funny to see LA choke for the 1400th time.
Well, that's my buddy is a Dodgers fan, and I just laugh at him because it's like, so you just enjoy torture is what you enjoy. Like this seems to be a thing that you seem to take pleasure in because you're gonna get a lot of it. It seems
it's like Walker Buehler's the new Clayton Kershaw.
I think I like a lot of Walker Buehler's game, and I wouldn't give him that tag yet. Although in fairness, I wouldn't have given Clayton Kershaw that tag. It's just they learn how to mismanage him. He is good to do certain things. Let him do what he's good at. Don't put him in a position to fail, and he'll be fine. Just let him do what he needs to do.
Yeah, I totally agree. So 6th inning. Okay.
Yeah, so one more thing here. So just a quick close off. So from Ken as well. He likes Clark being your GOAT, and the stash. The stash was legendary.
Yeah, totally. He's got a real soft spot in my heart for Clark.
Here we go. This is actually a really good question. So this is a question for everybody, and the chat is starting to answer that a little bit as well. So what's going to happen is, when your team acquires a player, do you collect the player's previous cards or no? And this is kind of a player collector kind of question as well, because it kind of depends. Like, do you want to go into the back catalog? Do you care? So this is kind of
me. I will.
Yeah, I'll use one example. One of the players that I used to collect a fair bit years ago was I was collecting a lot of Joe Carter cards, obviously when he was a Blue Jay, but I didn't mind going into the back catalog. I thought the 84 Donruss card was a cool card, the rookie card. I thought that was a cool card. He was at the Chicago Cubs at that time. And I tried several times on eBay to win the Thorn Apple Valley Cubs minor league card just because I thought it was kind of cool that it was there. And then he went and played for the Indians. That's where he rose to prominence and became a great player. But then he went and played for San Diego. So he had a thing where he had 100 RBIs with the Indians, 100 RBIs with San Diego, and then got to the Jays and had 100 RBIs with the Jays. And became, I think at that time, the only guy to have 100 RBIs with 3 different teams in 3 consecutive seasons.
That's wild. I'll pick up Clark cards that the patches are really nice.
Sure.
Like, if I'm not mistaken, I think there was a Chicago Blackhawks that Upper Deck picked up, Chicago Blackhawks jersey, and they put that in a bunch of artifacts. And, Chicago Blackhawks patches are dead sexy. So
Yeah.
I had no problem picking that up.
Yeah, I think the answer to this question, and I'll grab a couple of the comments because I know a lot of you guys are answering this as well. I think the answer to the question depends on whether you like the player predominantly because you like the player anyway, or you like the player predominantly, well, now they're on my team, so now I like them. In which case, you may as well just start from the time they joined your team. And I would totally understand that logic. Like, you can collect however you want. I'm not going to blame you. I just think if you like the player anyway, then this is just an excuse. Oh, well, now I'm incentivized a little bit. So for Jeremy, that's a hard no, which is fair. Let's take a look here. I like this. I like this one. Is Ameet's feed behind because it takes longer for the signal to get the can out? No, it freezes on the lines, Ken. It freezes on the lines. We have to defrost it and then send it across.
It's our igloo is on back order right now.
That's a fact. You got to understand, Ken. In warmer climates, the signal moves faster. In colder climates, it slows the whole thing down. Signal's got to stop at Timmy's, grab a double, chill out for a minute. Eventually, it'll reach us. We'll get there.
I had to go buy my bag of milk.
we don't do gallons here, Ken. We talked about this already. We discussed this matter.
That stuff confuses me.
Yeah. So for Ken, it's a no. In his case, when Shaw left the Blackhawks, he lost interest. Yeah. So that's kind of what I was referring to from the video where he talked about that. He had this awesome kind of super collection of Shaw, but then when he left the Blackhawks, he did lose interest in it. And I get it. It's fair. I understand it. So Jeremy says maybe a copy of the rookie card, which again, totally that's legit to me. Go ahead. You want to say
I
something?
just find it funny that complete segue, but Georgia looks like a mailman or something. Like he gives me a really nice guy next door. Doesn't appear to be a very harsh person.
He's a fine, upstanding citizen who just came back from the military.
Yes.
Nice. So there you go. Uncle Vinny. I do that with Yager in the opposite way. Do not have to worry about that with Mario and Stevie Y. Yep. And the thing is, by the time it was done, Yager was on a lot of teams. He had a cup of coffee with the Dallas Stars and had a couple of cool cards related to the Stars because at the time he was with the Stars was when they did those reissues of Fleer cards. So there is like a precious metal gems of Yager on the Dallas Stars of all things.
Wow.
I believe I've got the year right. I could be mistaken, but I think I saw it on ComC at one point. And I was like, I kind of want to buy this just because the precious metal gems kind of cool. And he was playing with the Stars at the time. Kind of cool. Seems pretty good. There we go. So Ken is following you on Instagram. Awesome.
Oh, awesome. Thank you very much. I don't post that often. I should do it more often, but
it's a good, I like Instagram, man. It's a fun scene. Don't order your igloos from ComC, Ameet.
They might melt by the time they get to me?
Well, the thing is, Dave, ComC's backlog is getting so long. They might melt and refreeze by the time they came back. So maybe we should order our igloos from ComC. I don't know. Just throwing it out there. Like, this is a bit of a math problem. We got to work on this here.
I feel really bad because now I feel like I'm smashing ComC when I'm the fanboy. All those out in ComC land, don't hate me. Just ship me my cards.
Yeah, it's like Ameet's on your side. I promise. There you go. Had I known that, I'd have tried to find milk in the bag one of the times we were north. Yeah, man. We got the bags there. You got the bag that has 3 bags inside.
I have all my cousins in the States, or not my cousin, my wife's cousins they want Smarties because they can't get Smarties down there. So that's another one.
Yeah, and the Smarties are good though. I feel like there are equivalents though. Not Smarties, obviously, but I feel like there are equivalents there. I feel like I've seen candies that are similar.
Probably 10,000 times sweeter.
Yeah, most likely, yes.
It's like Mountain Dew on steroids. Like the first time I had Mountain Dew in Chicago, my head was spinning. I couldn't figure out why. It's like completely different than Mountain Dew up here.
So was it basically like the Simpsons episode where they did like the uber squishy slushy and then that was you? And all of a sudden you woke up in the dish and like, what happened? Yeah, and it's like, what happened?
Yes.
There's a reference for you guys. When the Simpsons was still funny. All right, so Paul C. I'm an Oiler collector. Still remember the burn of the $20 spent on breaking down and buying a Vincent Damphousse rookie the day before he got drafted. And it's been 28 years of not getting any non-Oiler cards. But the good news, I suppose, is that if you are that particular about it, it does narrow the list. It's not like you have once the player leaves the team. It's not like you have to get any of the new ones, unless they do some kind of a weird retro where they show them in the old uniform. Maybe you make an exception for it. Maybe you don't. But again, it's kind of up to you. You get what I've always liked about player collecting, guys, is that you get to make up the rules. You don't have to follow. You can literally be like, I'll collect every other year. Why you would do that, I don't know. but you could. Like,
Well, that's
there's
the beauty
literally
of a
nobody
hobby,
stopping you.
anyways.
Yeah, there's
You make it what you want it to be, right?
yeah, there's nobody stopping you. You can make the list as complicated, as simple, or as you can create an algorithm of how you come up with what cards you buy and what cards you don't, if you really wanted to, and that's up to you. So Ken has here, Yager's the Ricky Henderson of hockey. Yes. But he also, by the time it was done, the amount of years he played was crazy. And
Yeah.
because he's the guy who started in 1990 at the same time as Modano and Matt Sundin and Sergei Fedorov and a bunch of, like, that class in 1990 was stacked. Jeremy Roenick, Curtis Joseph, like, stacked.
Can you imagine if they didn't overproduce that year? Like, oh my God.
My goodness. Like
Sakic rookie year, if they hadn't overproduced that and screwed that up, like that would be the stuff of legends. Like that, it was such a good. That was like 05-06 rookie class. It was better. Actually, it was better.
To your point, could you imagine if we had an equivalent to like Prism Silvers for the 1990 hockey class?
Oh man. Like,
and again, in Yager, so imagine Modano, Yager, Hall of Famer. I named off Hall of Famers. I just named
Hall
off
of Famers, but even outside of that, you had Owen Nolan, you had Peter Nedved, another one of my favorites.
Yes.
There's so many that year. So many. It's just insane.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me quickly go through a couple of comments here because we're getting quite a bit here as well. So yeah, traded from Montreal, not drafted. Get it? So Ken, enjoying Instagram on YouTube. Yeah, Instagram's fun, Ken. And I think it's one of the, I'll be honest with you, Ameet, the other thing I like about Instagram, the one thing they've done well is that it's easier to communicate with folks. Because when I wanted to set up the stream with Dave, like, I know you, we're in, it's easy for us to pick up the phone and just call each other. Well, I can't just call Dave. I don't have his contact that way, but I can message him on Instagram and we can chat back and forth. And that's how we made arrangements. It was a very simple conversation to be like, hey, you want to do this? Yeah, sure. Does this day good for you? Yeah. What time is good? Yeah. Okay, cool. You want to talk about this? And we were able to figure it out in fairly short order, but that's how you do it.
But you know what's really strange though is all my friends in the hobby. So if you look at the number of friends I had in the hobby before I went on social media to the number of friends I have on hobby after social media, it's pretty crazy, man. Like there's people I talk to that I don't even know what they look like.
Yeah, I believe it. It's
crazy.
Yep. Misery collecting players while they're still active. Yeah. And the thing is, that's a risky take. And I don't know if we ever discussed this, Ameet, because I had to think about this years ago. So when Modano was still playing, at the tail end of his career, before he signed his last big deal with Dallas, he was a free agent one final time where he had a bunch of different suitors, and it looked like he was going to go to Boston because that would look like it was one of the best deals on the table, and that's how it ended up going. And here's the thing: I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? I knew Dallas was about to get into rebuild mode. I knew they had like no real shot at that time because the great teams had been disassembled. Even the Marty Turco era had passed. Basically, they were on the tail end of that. They were not going to be competitive for a while. So I was thinking, like, the idea of him playing at that time, we thought his whole career in Dallas would have been kind of / Minnesota would have been kind of cool. But at the same time, I'm like, I would like to see my favorite player have one more crack at like a real playoff run. And Boston looked like they were gearing up to be a pretty decent team. It might have worked out. In the end, he accepted what was a good deal. It was a lesser deal from Dallas, but no income tax. So financially, it was good. It was still good, but in the end, it was like, unfortunately, the last couple of years just weren't that fun. And then he went for that 1 year in Detroit, and that wasn't too good.
And it's like Jumbo Joe coming to Toronto. I hope that doesn't end up in a bad situation.
Yeah, no, for sure. And Dave, 100% right.
Conan was the show.
You can tell the arc of when it like struggled to make a joke. But I saw somebody on YouTube, and I wish I knew exactly who it was because they did a great breakdown of not only when that happened, they also looked at what the difference was. They compared two jokes on The Simpsons and said, this is how the old writing team would handle a joke like this, and this is how the new writing team handled the joke on this, and compared them to be like, this is why the joke didn't quite work as well in the second iteration. They went all breakdown on it. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic.
But Conan's mindset like was beyond insane. Like he was just the best writer. Like he just had such a good mindset for it.
Absolutely.
A lot of the crossover movie references, like insane.
Oh, no, they did a great, at that time, they were hitting on all the cultural references, whatever was going on at the time. They understood how to make this funny. You're watching it right now. But Us going back years later, I'm like, hey, I remember when that was. I remember that reference because I was around during that time, and it's still funny to me.
I remember there was one particular episode I watched, and I was like, no more.
Mm-hmm.
It was when Homer was in the zoo and he dressed up as a panda, and it was a really off-color joke, and I was like, nope, no more. I'm done. I'm out of here. I think I made it 15 years. I stuck through it. That's it.
I would say probably I would pretty much stick to the first 10 seasons for me.
Yeah.
That'd be about where I'd cut it off for me.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a different timeline. So that's what he's doing that's what Ken is doing with some of the players he's starting to collect. Only certain sets. Yeah, man. Like there isn't the player collector police that's going to come after you if you don't collect the right way. Like it doesn't happen. I'll let Ameet have his moment. And then also to Dave's point, the Russian rocket. Yep. 1991, Roenick, Recchi, Stevens, Ricci, Stevens, and Recchi. Yeah. Like those early 90s sets would be ridiculous today if they hadn't printed them in those numbers. If there had been like one real premium brand at that time, like a real premium brand with scaled back printing that was legitimately national, those would be the key rookie for all of these players. The closest we can get, I guess, for some of those guys, it depends on your player. Like the Topps Tiffany is pretty good.
Yep, it is.
Like at least it's limited somewhat. Again, I wouldn't consider rookie. I can kind of consider it almost a rookie parallel. We have already had that discussion. We're not doing it today, but no. I think to me, it's kind of the coolest iteration. If you want the coolest iteration of that card, that at least is somewhat limited. And that's the best we can do for that time period because I think it was limited to 5,000, which at least by that standard was rare.
Yeah. What could you do if you could go back in time?
Yeah. That's what I say. When it comes to a lot of those things, like, could you imagine if they had like RPAs? Could you imagine if they had future watch cards? Like, it would be sick.
You remember when they had car serial limited 25,000? They're like,
yeah,
whoa.
Yeah. Well, that was I think that was the Pro Set Stanley Cup card, wasn't it? It was numbered 25,000.
There's that, and then Classic. Remember, Classic had a card. Was it the? I can't remember. I think it was a Lindros factory set or something. It numbered to 25,000. It was like in a cellophane. I have to look for it.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And then this was also true. French
that
High
is
series
true.
were super expensive because we thought they were rare. Turns out not so much. Turns out the printing press was working just fine. En français, they turned it on just the same.
I remember when Skybox Basketball came out and it was $3 a pack, and people were like, "What the f?"
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Dave here does a cutoff for Brodeur from 2003, 2004. I'll be honest with you, Dave. I do a lot of. I've had the chance recently to do some sorting through my collection. Around the mid 2000s, I don't like a lot of the cards that came out nearly as much as I did in that mid to late 90s and early 2000s period. Because I felt like they came up with a lot of cool ideas. Down the road, they would come up with some cool ideas as well. But there was a bit of a lull there where they would just release sets, but it would be like, yeah, here's the SP Authentic for this year. Okay, cool. Here's the Upper Deck for this year. Great. And it's like,
I didn't get back into, like, I left in 95, I would say. I went to university.
Mm-hmm.
So from 95 until I got my hook back in, which was 2000, 2001, Upper Deck, which had the Upper Deck prior to Leafs cards,
mm-hmm.
The jersey card. That's when I got back into it. So I missed some of the core insert heavy era of cards. I missed that era.
Yeah. Well, I think kind of playing to that point, and I'll talk about it more with Dave as well. One of the things that I've done, kind of what we were talking about, is I decided to kind of go back. I'm still collecting my Medano cards the same way, but I was also looking at what are some other fun projects that I could look at that would be kind of enjoyable to put together. And I said, all right, let me go back to some of that late 90s stuff because there was some stuff there that I really loved that I thought was great. So from that like Zenith set that I was talking about, they had the Z Team Golds. So you remember the Z Team and then the Z Team Golds? And I thought they were awesome looking cards. Well, the checklist is 18 cards. Does it have Gretzky and Waugh and like some great guys? Yes, it does.
Yeah.
But it's 18 cards. So it's like, yeah, there's a couple of expensive ones in there, but for the most part, like very doable. And it would be just kind of a cool looking set to put together and have. And I was like, all right, I'll pick up a couple. So I went on Consti and picked up some of the cheaper ones to start off with because you want to have those as well. They're part of the set. So I already picked up like 5 or 6 and spent less than $15. So I got a third of the set. Now, obviously, Gretzky and Waugh and those guys are going to cost more for sure. But those ones are probably going to be towards the end. But those guys tend to be available. So it's like...
Yeah.
So that's one set that I looked at. I go, that's a pretty sweet set. And the other one that I showed Jeremy that I started to work on as well is 99 2000 Piece of History. This little stick
Yeah,
cards.
yeah, yeah,
That has 20 cards in it. And
yeah,
like the How is like the most expensive one at like $80 or whatever,
yeah,
if you could find it. It's around though. Like it's not like a super rare, but it's a nice tight 20 card checklist. It's not
yep.
this ridiculous thing. Well, I bought 5 or 6 of them on eBay and spent like $40.
It's
Like it,
crazy. If you really want to get into certain obscure sets, they're not that expensive. But I mean, we're lucky because hockey is not as
absolutely.
heavily collected. So
But just think about that. That'd be a cool looking set to have completed as well. And I don't. There are certain players that are going to cost more, but they didn't. But like, I can build most of that set on the cheap,
yeah,
and not
yeah,
really go huge money out of pocket. And I would love to. I can take my time, and when the set's done, oh, this is kind of awesome.
yep, I agree.
There's plenty of those out there. Now, if you collect other sports, no problem. Totally with you. But the thing is, you got to look for those. I had to go back to the 90s. There's a sweet spot there where there's some cool sets that are like, yeah, I'd love to put this together. I wanted to put it together back then, but now I can. So in the transition from inserts to game use cards, yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, yeah,
It really became game use heavy. There was a time where I had a stack. I would never have been at the card count that I am for Medano right now. There was a stretch where I had maybe 150 Medano like game use cards. And these are like the $5, $10 game use cards, a stack of them. And I was like, this looks like this. They all look like the same card over and over again, year by year. And I'm
yeah.
like, this is boring. I kind of had them in the back burner thinking I'm just going to sell them off. And this was a couple of years back. And then at some point I got back and you know what? I'll keep them. I'll put them in the box. But at the same time, I kind of now want to see how far along I can get.
You know, one product I would love to open again that
What's
I
that?
loved was Topps Pristine.
Mm-hmm.
I loved opening up Topps Pristine stuff. Oh, someone had a box for $8 per sky. Yeah.
I'm not sure which one he was referring
Sports
to.
Card Live Show?
That's what when he said Sports Cards Live, I'm like, was there a box on Jeremy's show for that?
Oh, he must be talking about an actual show.
Maybe
He must not be in Ontario.
Look at this. Here's the promo. Love it, Dave. Love it, Dave.
I'll only do it, Amish Dave, if you have a mushroom cloud explosion during the video at some point.
You think we got those kind of production values? I mean, we don't have your Sportsnet studio budget that you're working on over there.
Have you seen my backdrop? I look like I'm in my mom's closet. Like, come on, let's get real.
That's phase one.
Phase one. At least if you see my desk, I spent a lot of money on it.
Exactly. There you go. Nice. Yeah. No, we'll definitely be chatting about some of that stuff because I am enjoying, because this gives me an excuse to research, because some of these sets I remember, but I'm like, okay, but how rare are these cards actually? Let me double check that. And then as I go looking through them, I'm like, oh yeah, I know what we're talking about here. And some of them are surprisingly tough.
You know what's really funny? So when I got back into cards, I used to measure things by how much a box of something would cost.
Okay, that makes sense.
When I bought my microphone, it was I don't know, about $200, and I was like, oh, that's a box of UD Black from back in the day. I'm like, wow, I've hit a whole new low. I've gone back to quoting what I own and buy in terms of what they would be sports card wise.
Well, I'll tell you, I saw something on eBay the other day, and I added it to my watch list because I'm sitting there like, am I deranged enough? So I was scanning through a couple of different things, and I was also looking at 96, 97 Black Diamond cards because you got the base set, you got the gold cards, which are very cool. Obviously, the Thornton card. If he does anything in Toronto, that Thornton card will lose its mind.
Oh,
it'll get like a renaissance, and it's already a tough card, like right now for sure. But the interesting thing is that when I started going through it, obviously we know about the Run for the Cup. That's like the big insert. The golds are cool and everything. But I'm sitting there like, yeah, I remember opening a ton of the 97, 98 Black Diamond, but I'm like, did I open any 96, 97? And then as I was trolling through eBay, I saw they had a hobby box on there. And I was like, I'm like, not today, but I'm putting it on the watch list.
Oh, I can't help myself when it comes to certain wax. I'll buy it.
The thing is, the problem maybe here is that I think I'd be more inclined if I knew what the going rate actually was, because it's not like those cards are common anymore. Like the box, it's not like it's common anymore. It's got to be a pretty tough box. I think they wanted like $400 for it. So, but I'm like, at the same time, the Thornton is like 150, and the Gretzky is like 180. Like if you pull any of those triple, now if you put it in the gold's out of 50. So it's like I'm like, that seems like it might be actually in line with what a market rate would be. It doesn't sound that ridiculous considering what you could pull in it. Plus run for the cups. Those all go for decent money if you pull one.
You know what's sad though is like all this group breaking now. Like, remember the old days? And I'm reminiscing, and because I'm a bit of a nerd, is I used to walk into a hobby shop. I would look at the serial number. I would only buy. So I had a superstition. So I would pick up a box. And I would only buy a certain serial number of the box. If it was a number, if it was 88 or 8, or was 17 or 13, I would buy the box. Right.
Mm-hmm.
With group breaking, you're buying into a spot. You miss that rush you used to get from picking a specific box, right? Like I that's one thing I realized now. I haven't had in a long time because I haven't been to an LCS in a long time, right?
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been to a card show in a long time. I'm ordering wax to my house from Walmart and wherever it's coming from, but I can't pick serial numbers. I just whatever comes in the box is what's there, right?
Yeah.
So it's the other day I was looking at a box and I was like, oh, I'm gonna check out the serial number, and I'm like, oh man, I missed that.
Yeah. No, the thing is that part of the reason I was looking at it, like I'm not in the market to buy one of those right this minute, but at the same time, I'm like, I kind of want to buy it, and I know myself. I'm like, no, I'd open it. I want to know what's inside. I can't help myself. I will. I was like, I have to know. Does it have the Thornton? Does it have a run for the cup? Does it have one of those? It's like, oh, I'm sorry, it'd be sweet. I'd do it without hesitation, without a care in the world. I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I'll open this thing. Let's go. Yeah. I can imagine how the video would look. I would explain how rare these are, relatively speaking, today. How it was, the first year of Black Diamond, and all these cards you can pull in it. And it's like, if you leave this in pristine condition, it could be worth quite a bit someday. So we're opening it. Just like
I know.
We're opening it. At least it would make a good video. I will say it would make a good video.
I have a box, one box of 15-16 Upper Deck Retail Series 1. And like I'm itching to open it, but at the same time, like, it's worth way more not open. So I put it in like the back of a shelf in an area where I know it's going to be a pain in the butt to go get it, and then purposely not opening that box.
Well, it could be worse. I opened up a box of 2018 Prism Football back in when they were being released because there were still some boxes left over at the local LCS, but those ones reached about 1,700 in the last little craziness, and I think I paid $140 of it because they were starting to clear it out.
Dude, I opened up box upon box of 2014 Prism Soccer.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like I kid you not, I probably went and bought 3 boxes a week.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And I had them as recently as probably 2 or 3 years ago. Mm-hmm. And now what those cards are going for is insane.
Absolutely.
And it's insane. Hey, Carlos, I just have to step out for 1 second.
Yeah.
I'll be right back.
I'll take care of a couple of comments while you do it. No worries. So, Paul, to your point, I left it on here because I wanted to come back to it. You're 100% right. Because of the foil they use, it's super chip prone. Like, if I did buy that box and open it, there's a good chance, even if I pulled some of the big cards, that it would be very difficult for it to be a good condition card. Super tough. Like, it really would be very difficult. But it'd be kind of fun. I'm not going to lie to you. It'd be fun. So here, Vinny just says, and got 5 boxes for 20 apiece. If you got 5 boxes, Vinny, that will be a cool day. Because it's still fun to open wax. It really is. It's enjoyable. Regardless of what it is, I'll still open quote-unquote junk wax any day of the week. And again, even an expensive box, I'd open it. I know. And now, mind you, that Prism from 2018, I would not open that now with the $1,700 price tag. But obviously at the $140, I had no problem opening it. Box of $97, $98 preferred. I love that series, Dave. It was great. Unfortunately, this is one of those situations where you totally missed out on the Toronto Expo, because I can tell you that there were stacks of those at the Expo. I don't remember what the exact price was, so you have to forgive me. Maybe Jeremy remembers, because there was a booth. I think it was Grizzly Sports Cards that had stacks of them. And I want to say they were like $35 a box, 35 Canadian a box, because it wasn't a lot. I know that for a fact, because I bought multiple boxes and opened a bunch of them. It was just ridiculous. And they were fun to open. And there was some cool stuff in there that was still enjoyable. Yeah, you'll have to see if you can resist. I wish they still had them, because I would buy another bunch of them. I still have the empty tins, including the empty large tin that comprised the box as well. And I did pull a couple of the small gold packs, I guess, if you will. They were fun. They were fun cards to open and fun packs to have, although the tins take up a lot of space. Bought the blaster in the tin of 2015, 2016 Upper Deck. Hadn't pulled a McDavid 3/4 of the way through the rip until you pulled a McDavid. Yeah. Oh, perfect. Thanks, Jeremy. I thought I was pretty sure that's who it was because they still had some really cool stuff in that booth. If you like your late '90s stuff, uh, that's kind of where my bread and butter is because I did that. Donruss Preferred, like we said here. Um, they also had Donruss Priority. They had boxes of that, which was kind of a fun one. You could pull the stamp of approval, parallel cards, which were really nice. If you pulled like a good player, they were fantastic looking cards. But the point is, they had a lot of that like 96, 97, 98 stuff sitting around. So all I was saying, Ameet, is I was just chatting about, Dave mentioned about 97, 98 Donruss Preferred Hockey.
Yes,
And I was
love
talking
that.
about how Grizzly sports cards for a while at the expo would have it
Yep.
on the side of the table. And
Yeah.
I think they were like $35 a box for a while, weren't they?
And if you talk to them nicely, you would get it for 25. Because
Yeah.
I bought, I swear to God, every single expo, I would buy probably 40 tins of it.
Yeah. It was absurd, dude. Like it was just craziness. Craziness. Here you go. Yeah, Dave. No, when it comes to hockey, Dave, we're not even playing. Like the national is the national. All the other sports, I'm not going to argue with you. But when it comes to hockey, the expo, we're not playing. That's where the stuff is.
The next real expo will be like a teenage boy going to a strip club for the first time in 30 years. Like I'm telling you, like it's going to be insane.
A teenage boy.
Don't even go with that. It's going to be.
No. But the point that I'm trying, it's the mathematical problem that happened to me. It's not,
I know.
it's not-
I got all excited there when I'm trying to do the metaphor. It failed. I'm going to try again because you're going to edit this video, I'm sure.
no, I'm not.
It's going to be like, someone who's not had a good time in a very long time showing up at the strip club. That's what
Yeah, I got you. Leaf Limited was also awesome. I love that set. I thought that was really good. But that was one of those sets where, correct me if I'm wrong, Ameet, I don't think there were any like actual inserts in Leaf Limited.
I don't think so. No.
I think it was the base card, and then you had the limited exposure,
Yeah.
and you had the multiple tiers inside
Yeah.
of it. But that was the entire box was that. It was just like
What was the fractal matrix in? What was that product? That the same product?
that was Donruss Preferred, I'm pretty sure. That was where you had the bronze, the silver, and the gold and the
Yes.
platinum.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I think that's Donruss Preferred.
Okay.
That's
okay.
yeah, but Leaf Limited, I love those. Like I have you know what? I have a binder. If you give me 5 seconds, Ameet, let me
Go
put
for
this
it. I'm
comment up
actually
here.
looking them up right now.
Yeah, I actually have them in the binder. The binder's like 2 feet from me.
Oh, yes. So there was the gold. Okay. Yes.
Yep.
There was the gold and then the regular.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, let me quickly grab one thing. Oh, hold on.
Yeah.
Dave is filling this in. Fabric of the game. Thank you, Dave. Thank you,
Yes.
Dave. That's right. So give me 1 sec.
While Carlos is doing that, I'll show some more cards. So I don't know if you heard earlier, I said that I opened up about 6 sets of the Walmart, I want to say completed sets, but there's a chance to get the gold set. So this is what the gold set looks like. It's got a gold border. So that one is Gratterall, who's pitched tonight.
Okay.
And then here is Horner, who is a prospect that everyone's high on for next year. Gratterall. And then another one who's everyone high on for next year is Aristides Aquino. So there's some in there. The rest I've sent off to PSA.
Yeah, exactly. So this is a project that I was working on last weekend. I have a lot of these Z folios, and I basically filled one of these things up, but then put in the big old label. I got the label maker so I can make my life easy, so they can sit on the shelf, and I can actually refer to any like year. These are all 97, 98 Medano cards exclusively, but they're in like the Beckett order. Just to make just so I can quickly, if I need to find something, I can be like, okay, you want to talk about Leaf Limited? Let's do Leaf Limited.
Yep, that's the one. And
Yeah.
they have a dual card, right? The dual sided
That's
one.
right. So he's got
Yeah.
3 of them. And then on the other side, you got Donruss Preferred.
Yep, that's right. That's right.
So it's really handy though to be able to go, this is the year, and then I can find the brand, quickly sort through, and then boom, we're there.
I'm not that organized.
I wasn't until I was like, I really want, and then here's the rainbow of the Black Diamond.
Yep. I do remember that.
Love that year. Love it. But having it this way is like super handy because I'm like, okay, this is a lot easier to use, a lot easier to refer to.
Yes.
That way I don't have to guess where it is. It's like, I know where it is. We're good to go.
Yeah, I just all my stuff is in boxes, dude. I couldn't tell you where anything is.
Yeah, no worries. So let me get to a couple of comments here because there's a bunch here. Let's get caught up. Ameet is drunk with the possibilities of hockey cards. True story.
It's true. I'm a big nerd for this stuff. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. So Vinny's excited to go once they open up the border. No, it's going to be good, man. If you do actually like hockey cards at all, like it's the mecca. Like it's so easy to walk up and down. Even like super obscure stuff. Like one of the unintentional, I think, holy grails, the way it worked out was 98.99 the Star Quest golds. They're like
Yep.
super tough. Like good luck finding, and then go look up what like a WA went for like $900 US on eBay
Yeah.
not that long ago.
Yeah.
They're super tough. I bought the Medano for $60 Canadian at a table at the expo. It was just there. And I was like, how much you want for it? 75. I'm like, would you take 60? And they're like, yeah. Bought it right off the table. I will never find that again. That was years ago now. But like, good luck if you find one.
I'm trying to remember. There's a Wendell Clark card I got at 100. It's like kind of the prism idea. It was a very colorful parallel. It's escaping me right now.
Repeat the description again. Sorry. Repeat it.
It's like Bowman's Best or something, is it? I can't remember. It's like the comment. It looks like a Bowman's Best card, like the old
Yep.
baseball card, but it's really colorful. And it
So
had.
Oh, so you're talking about the Atomic Refractor.
That's it.
Yeah, that's 98.99 Bowman.
That
Notes.
one that's such a beautiful card.
Yeah, I'm not going to get up again, but it's just there, a couple of feet away.
Mine
Why I
is
say it's not.
all
But
my
that's why I say
selfies.
that's why I say it's nice to have it in those binders. You can just quickly pull it and like, this is the year, this is the brand, we're good to go. So let me get a couple more comments here. So Ziggy's joining us. Good evening, Ziggy. So hi, Ziggy. Evening, Ziggy. Yep. 94.95 Leaf Limited. 94.95 Leaf Limited had the gold inserts number to 5,000. That is very true. Yep, absolutely. The Gretzky card was the key card for a lot of those. If you got an insert and it's Gretzky, you were minting money at that time. Donruss Limited 97.98. And then what's going on, Ziggy? Perfect. We're caught up. But yeah, no, there's a lot of stuff there, guys. And then when it comes to that conversation, when Dave and I get a chance to talk, it's like I'll have the binders right here within arm's reach, just so that I can go. What I've done is I've sleeved up and put in inside those eFolios everything from 1990, 91 until 99, 2000. So the first 10 years of Medano cards are in there.
Did you just say I just sleeved up?
Yep. I put new penny sleeves on all of them.
I think you just created another term.
I think that's been used before. I think that's
Sleeved up to sleeve up.
Yeah, it's for collectible card games, but it's been used. I've heard it.
Oh,
I can't take credit for it.
I love that. I'm
Yeah.
gonna
But that's
I'm gonna totally
what you're
sleeve
doing.
up.
But that's what you're doing. Yeah, I had a bunch of penny sleeves because a bunch of them have been sitting in binders for a long time. I'm like, let me put them in fresh penny sleeves, all of them, and then put them in the folio.
I am using that. I'm gonna totally sleeve up.
Yeah, absolutely. Why not? So here we go. Another WAS sold a couple of weeks back. The first sold back in August. Yeah, like 1,167 US. Like it's crazy. It's absolutely nuts. And the Atomics out of 100. Yep.
Yes, that's the one. So I got the Wendell Clark out of that one. So I was really happy with that.
Yeah. Paul C
Yes,
also
those
has
are-
it in here. And the refractors that Paul C is referring to here is also the refractors were out of 400 and the Atomics were out of 100.
Oh, Cunha, what are you doing?
Nice. All right, guys. So what we're gonna do here, I think timing wise, we're bang on. So
Oh,
we
wow.
got considering where we started, I'm actually really happy that we got to this point. Okay, I think we did. I think we did well.
We only had 2 questions or 3 questions.
No, it's sometimes it works out that way. Normally we have like a topic that we can kind of intersperse in between it. It was just there wasn't anything specific, and we joked about it a little bit earlier. It's like, oh, mate, we could talk about Pokemon
Yeah.
with our collective expertise of nothing.
Yes.
It's like we know what they are. I remember them
I
originally.
bought 3 blasters today. I don't know why.
Yeah. So I'll show off
I
one
do know
more.
why.
I'll show off one more card here as well because I had it sitting on the other monitor. This is actually one I picked up in ComC. So this is the, I think 2001. This is for SP Game Used Edition. It is the inked sweaters. Kind of a plain design. I'll show it to you guys now. Kind of a plain design, but it was one I was after for a long time. So here it is. So this is a out of 100. Not too crazy, but I'll be honest with you. I was really pleased when this randomly came up on ComC. Like as soon as it was there under the new cars, I was like, mine. I was like, all right. I did the, Fry, shut up and take my money. I was like, yes, I will. I'll take that. So that'll be one that I hope to get. If I order it now from ComC, I should have it by 2024, 2025, 2027.
I've got one card I can show on ComC I picked up just today that I loved.
Okay.
If you don't mind, I'll do a real quick screen share.
So why don't you do that. And then while we're doing that, so guys, in that vein, We're open to any other last questions here. We can talk about them for sure if you want us to. We've been having some fun with the chat, obviously, in conversation. It's been kind of a loose show, and these are meant to be kind of just fun episodes. And if you caught now, at the very beginning of the show, I wasn't feeling that great at the beginning of it. I've gotten my second win, so we were able to get to the end, which is nice. But yeah, it was a bit of a struggle at the outset. So let's take a look at what Ameet here has for a screenshot. So right now you've got the card up, so let's do that. So this is the Peter Forsberg, the Bowman Chrome. This is a refractor, right?
Yes. So this series, I pick up singles of this whenever I can find
this
it.
This is 0304 Bowman, I think. Is that right? I want to say 0304. Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, I nailed it.
Yep. And I absolutely loved this set. This is probably one of my favorite, like, reminiscing sets I look for.
Do you pick up the X Factors? Because the X Factors are sweet.
If you can find them. But I was surprised to find this today.
Yeah.
Very rare I find stuff like this.
Yeah.
And for a decent price. So anyway, that's what I just wanted to share real quick.
No, that's fair. I think that's reasonable. That's rare. So let me take a look here. Okay, I'm going to have a little fun with this, Ameet. So let's have a little fun with this part here. So right here, Dave just adds in, the insert refractors went up at 100. The insert atomic refractors were out of 25. Yeah, for the insert ones, yes. Yeah. That's right. 100%. Bacardi Bowman's best, totally. That was a fun series. I love that series. Okay, so here we go. All right. I like this. So here's a good comment, Ameet. I want you to read this one. Oops. So
yes. You want me to read yes?
Yeah, read this.
As far as a question, I'd like you guys to continue for another hour or so. We probably could at this rate. We're both like wired.
Well, the thing is, here's the thing. Honestly, Jeremy, I have no moral objection to it if you guys want to go on a little bit longer. And if you want to pop on, we can do a three-way conversation if you want. I'll leave that open for you for a couple of minutes while I go through the comments here.
I don't mind for another 15 minutes, whatever. I'm good.
Yeah, I think we can definitely do that. Yeah. Dave's approving of that. He's asking if the 2 out of 250 of the refractors. For the Bowman Chrome, I think the refractors out of 300, and I think the X Factors out of 150. I'm going from memory, but I think that's right.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, check it out. The Forsberg is beautiful. Agreed. Totally. Matt Stajan rookie year. 0304. I think you're right. It's funny. It's funny because, yeah. It's funny because I went to high school with Matt Stajan.
Really?
Oh yeah. I have the yearbook where he's in it at the beginning, in grade 9. Total jerk. I hate that guy. But yeah, I went to high school with him. That's why I laughed when he got drafted to Leafs. I'm like, oh, come on, really? Now I got to see this idiot? Terrible. But this is Canada. If you haven't associated with, went to school with, met, or just randomly had coffee with a hockey player, you're doing it wrong. You're just doing it wrong. Because they're all over the place. They're out there. I promise you can find them.
And everyone's a star.
Well, I don't know if Stajan's star, but let's not go that far. But sure.
Hey, I remember Eric Lindros was shut down our high school if you walked by.
Oh, that's a different conversation for sure. So let's hold on here. Give me a second to meet. Bear with me a sec. See if we can set this little thing up here. Why not? Let's have a little fun with this. Do. See if that works. All right, Lee. Ball's in your court. Let's see if you can make this happen.
What are you trying to do?
Jeremy just asked for the link.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right.
We're gonna have a little fun. We're gonna innovate here, Ameet. We're gonna innovate. Let's have a little fun. So why not? If he can come on here, I'll let him join us. Why not? Busting packs and pulling his rookie because he's one of the bigger rookies. Yeah, you know what? That year, I think Stajan was one of the bigger rookies. That's right. And here's the thing. As much as I personally didn't like the guy, he had a decent career. Like, it wasn't like I think he played like 10 years or something like that. Like, it was a decent length.
Who are you talking about again? Sorry, who are you talking about?
Matt Stajan.
Yeah, he had a great year. He ended up in Calgary, so I'm sure he had his twilight year there. He had a hard kind of issues with his children. I believe he had something didn't happen very nicely for him and his family. I can't remember what it was. So
that could be. Yeah. That sounds right. Yeah. All right, here we go. You ready for this?
Let's do it. It's a trifecta.
Boom. Look at that. He's got his swag and his hat on.
Oh, I'll put on my hat.
What's up, guys?
What's going on, Jeremy?
There, I got a hat on now. Where's your hat, Carlo?
I'm just hanging out watching you guys.
My hat is directly behind this wall. If I turn around and go reach for it, it's there. My hats are there. That's all right. But anyway, no, how's it going tonight, Jeremy?
It's going good. I had my tacos and then I've been watching you guys.
That's all right. Hopefully, we've been mildly entertaining. We've been having
Yeah,
fun
I
with
was
the chat.
hoping that I was a bit worried for a second when you got sick and I'm like showing cards.
No, I actually was feeling violently ill before we started recording. Actually, yeah, it was like I was genuinely feeling nauseous, and I was like, okay, I don't feel great, but we recovered. We recovered.
Yeah, did you see my comment to you? You
Yeah.
look super green. Are you okay? Do you want me to show cards?
Yeah, no. Ameet pinged me, and it was like I knew that if I could get my second win, I'd be fine. But yeah, no, I wasn't feeling too good. Let me grab this comment here. So draft stories. Yep, grade 12. A kid showed up in May, played for Medicine Hat. Last day, teacher asked about getting drafted. He said, "Anywhere but Winnipeg." Who goes to Winnipeg?
Hey, easy on Winnipeg.
Hey, that's Paul C. I can't help you. I just read it. I don't make the news.
I can't see the comment. That's what I'm doing. I'm looking to go back to the video so I can see the comments and just put it on mute.
Yeah, there you go. That's fair. That's fair.
Oh, I never thought about that. Could have done that.
Yeah, here we go. So Jeff McMahon. Does Medano have any early 90s Young Guns? Technically, no, because I think the first year card is just kind of a regular Upper Deck card. They did have some Young
Guns.
Though.
He didn't have
the OPC Premier for sure. Yeah, but like 90s Young Guns is the series that, because in 90-91, they did have, I believe, a couple of Young Guns. But but there's only a handful of them, and it said Young Guns, or it might have been 91-92.
What's the first time we put Young Guns out?
Did they do it in first year, Jeremy, or was it 91-92? I know they had Young Guns on a card early.
90-91.
Yeah. Okay. But only a handful of players.
Fedorov's rookie and Bure's rookie, they're Young Guns.
Yeah.
Is that the blue font? Is that one?
That was 91-92, I think.
Oh, okay.
But they did, I think it was in the higher series, though. I don't think they had it in the lower series.
It was in the higher series. Check this out. I got it.
So Medano was in the lower series, so that's probably why he was never a Young Gun, even though he had the Upper Deck rookie. So that would probably be the...
This is an original box of it. I mean, these aren't hard to get or anything, but I've had this since 1991.
Hilarious.
And it's the high numbers version, too.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, here we go. Bure and Fedorov are Young Guns, 100%. Yeah. That's right. Totally. Dave only met a handful of players from the NHL. Derek Plant, Matt Dumba, Wes Waltz, Matt Niskanen.
Who was Paul saying was the player that didn't want to go to Winnipeg and got drafted there?
I think he just left it. He just left it grade 12A kid. It was very generic. We need more specifics, Paul. This is somebody we know. We've heard of.
I wonder who that was.
Yeah, but that's the thing, though. All over Canada, you're going to run into tons of hockey players. Like I remember being in Toronto in Maple Leaf Square when the Leafs were having their home opener, and I was just walking because I was just finishing work, and I was off to go grab some things because in Maple Leaf Square. In that area right there, you're near one of the big malls. You're near the Eden Center. So I'm walking up, and I'm actually going to go meet somebody up at the restaurant that's up on one of the sections there. And as I go up the escalator, George Larocque is coming down the other side of the escalator. I'm like, of course you are. And he's literally the only one on the escalator. And I just laughed. I was like,
You know what's funny? So one year the Leafs had the draft. They were hosting a draft. So I showed up at the draft in a suit, pretending I was an agent. I went and sat all the way down. And Peter, do you remember Peter Tatacek? He was drafted by Florida. He was on my left, and on my right, just down the way, like down to the center, was Jay Bouwmeester. Like he was just sitting there. He'd already been drafted, but I literally wore a suit and I sat there and I just scanned. The best 2 days of my life. I stayed the whole day there, sitting there just watching stuff.
You pretended to be an agent?
Yeah, by saying nothing. I just wore a suit.
That's good enough, apparently. So I think that's the answer to your question, Jeremy.
Yeah, I've never heard of him.
That name doesn't ring a bell. It very much doesn't ring a bell. but that's kind of the way it is, though. Like it's not they're not all like household name guys. Stajan was known at least because he was one of the quote unquote better rookies for that class. Wasn't very strong.
Stajan played here. He was a good dressing room guy, you know. Yeah. But he wasn't much on the ice.
No. He was able to carve out a decent length career. So I will give the devil his due. He was able to collect a paycheck for some time.
You know, every team needs fourth liners.
Yep. Yeah. So Purdue, I think this is about Young Guns.
Yeah, exactly.
With what they pay them today, you'll do just fine. That would be okay. But yeah, no, that's fair. Let me throw this one at you, Jeremy, because we talked earlier about that eBay API thing. Did you have any thoughts yourself about it? Because we were just thinking about like a step one. Because right now we're only getting a slice of it, right? It's not like eBay is revealing exactly what it's going to do. but it will affect some of these guys down the road because they got to figure out what their arrangement is. Doesn't mean it's affecting them today, but they got to figure out their arrangement.
You know, I think that eBay's got the data. As long as eBay is willing to distribute it or let it go, whether it's selling it or whatever arrangements, business deals they come up with, then these services that are in the hobby will find a way to adapt. Simple as that.
Yeah, I just think the big thing is going to be the question of how eBay decides to price it considering they do have their own platform. So technically, go ahead.
And if they want to sell it, they're going to have to price it in a way that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. So
that's the part I'm questioning.
What's that?
I'm questioning if they actually are. I'm not questioning if they're willing to sell it. I'm questioning if they're like, well, we could just beef up Terapeak and just be like, yeah, no, guys, you're out. Because they got their own thing. They don't really care.
Then they should buy Market Movers and Card Ladder and all these things because they're the hobbyists that have come up with these uses of the tool. So right, eBay is not made up of hobbyists. So I think it's going to end up being fine. Everything's going to be fine. And as I mentioned earlier, I saw on the Comeback Card Investor show, he had a VP from Market Movers or Sports Card Investor, and this guy was very well spoken. Loves his job. That was very clear. And he said that the new or whatever is coming, he's aware of it. Doesn't change anything for them, for that particular entity. So I don't know why, but maybe they're already paying for it. That could be why, or maybe they have a deal.
That could be about to do about nothing.
That could be it too. Maybe we don't know. Maybe who knows? We'll see. I'm not worried about it though. I'm not worried about it for these guys because I think that they'll whether it costs them more money, and if they do, it'll have to pass down to the customer, and that will be okay. That will become accepted if the tools are good enough. I'm not saying
I love the potential angle as a seller, Jay.
What's that?
Like people are like, well, I saw it on eBay for this price. Yes. Is it completed or is it sold? What's the actual listing? It's like I can see myself. I'll use it. I'll use it once, just once for shits and giggles. Oops, sorry, it's a TV show. Oops.
Well, it depends what data. I don't. Sorry, Ameet, I'm not sure what you mean. I mean, like it depends what data they're sharing. If it's going to be sold, and sold and are you saying sold and completed?
Ameet's referring to the potential transaction, the conversation you're going to end up having when we have card shows where somebody tries to use a comp and it's like, but was it sold? I know that's what it says.
Yeah.
But was it
actually sold?
Well, I mean, that has to be the data that's shared.
No, but we're talking about like eBay comps. Like right now, today, like somebody comes to your booth and they want to argue with you on price.
Sure.
And they try to use with these tools right now, they don't necessarily have a way. They do their best. Like they take two different approaches, but they do their best to validate the data.
Yeah.
But as we go forward, the question is always going to be, even if you have a comp, you can look it right up. You can pull it up right at the auction and see for yourself. But the question is it paid or not? And that's a piece of information that the two tools are taking two different approaches to.
Yeah.
But that's even more important than the final total they came to. It's like, no, I don't care what the final total was. It's like, did money change hands?
Yeah.
And right now it's very difficult to discern.
Yeah.
And did you see what PWCC just did?
No, what did they do?
They've changed all their auctions to private bidders. You can no longer see the feedback numbers or even the letter star letter or character. The anonymized eBay handle. It's all gone private, at least right now. Yeah. So now you can't even look for signs of shilling on PWCC auctions.
That's right. That's why I said when I look at this, I'm not worried about the API thing specifically. That's a piece of the overall puzzle. It's now eBay has the opportunity and the ability they've always had, but now maybe they're putting a little bit more of a focus on it. They're like, years ago, they stripped away the ability to see exactly who the winning bidder was. You used to be able to track them and you knew who your eBay nemesis was because John Bob 316 was always the one who outbid me because I could see that. Then they did the anonymous thing, but you could still sort of figure it out if it was like the same feedback thing. You could sort of figure it out. But then as time goes on, like now you strip that away. Slowly you're like, I see a number. I see a number of bids, but I know nothing else.
Just like any other auction, really, if you think about, unless you're there in person and you see the person who raises their paddle, but otherwise it's just like any other auction. I think what PWCC needs to do is get off eBay. I think that's what they need to do.
Get off eBay. Yeah, well, it is a fact.
How far back are you members of eBay?
I'm 99, but imagine PWCC's email list. Like they have everybody's email address, so it would be a transition. But they could, eBay is such a great platform for sure. But I don't know. I think PWCC would be able to retain a lot of their.
That's interesting. It's a very interesting segue. Yeah.
Yeah. May 1998. May 1698.
I was December 99.
I was 2000.
Rookie.
We're all 3 consecutive years. That's kind of funny.
We're gonna have to get him. We're gonna have to get Ameet to do some rookie hazing. Rookie, only 20 years. Psh. But that's the thing though. Like eBay's been around so long, it's become ubiquitous with this. So I don't have a problem. Here's the thing. At the end of the day, I agree with Dave that it's unfortunate because Dave's not a fan of not seeing the bidders, which I totally get. It does make it difficult to discern. Jeremy is right, though, that in real auctions, one of the things that I like to watch sometimes is I'll watch, you can see the watch auctions off in Zurich. So often when they do it in Switzerland, they'll do it. You got the paddle, you got the guy, but then you get the call-in bids. A person call in and bid this amount. The auction house knows who it is. You know what the total they bid is, like because the bid's coming through, but you have no idea who. It could have been somebody who is actually just sitting in the audience and messaged it to a representative who said, call in this bid. They could be in the room and you wouldn't know. They could be in another country and you wouldn't know. But they're on the phone with somebody who's taking those bids. It's about as anonymous as it gets because that person could be anywhere and it could be anyone. And some of those, they spend tens of millions of dollars on an item and you still have no idea who bid on it.
I would like to, on my bucket list, I would like to be one of those guys. Sorry, I know you're talking about very scientific stuff there, Carlos, but my mind went somewhere else.
Your mind went where it goes, Ameet.
All I could think of was me sitting with a suit on with a paddle just in one of those auctions. And I would like to do that once. I just added it to my bucket list. So just go carry on with
now,
your
what do you do if you pull off this beautiful plan of yours? You sit there with your suit with your paddle on. Somebody walks by and goes, "Wait, were you the agent from the NHL draft years ago?" And you're like,
that was me. I probably have the same suit.
It's like the jig is up. Run.
Nice back reference, Carlos. That was skillful right there.
That was skillful. That's
you have to wait. You have to time your moments.
That was well done.
You're a pro YouTuber. I'm just a guest.
Exactly. No, it's good. Sometimes it's fun to bring up back references. That it's like, no, I'll listen to what they have to say. I'll bring it back. There'll be a time. If it wasn't today, it would have been a week or a month from now. It would have happened.
But that was a back reference to something that wasn't integral to tonight's discussion.
Nothing. No.
Well, somebody asked us for favorite TV shows. That was completely a left field alignment.
No, we were kind of switching between topics, and I thought it was kind of a fun little segue.
That was a fun little off topic for the show tonight. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it could fit within the context of a show for a couple of minutes just to let everybody, because then the chat had a chance to throw in their 2 cents on a bunch of different shows and movies and things too. It's like, you know what? I don't have any issue with that. Yeah. It's sports cards. It's not that serious. If there was a guest,
sports cards is very serious, guys. Very serious.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Jeremy, what's that brown sign on your wall there underneath your white frame thing? Yeah.
It's an O-Pee-Chee send in 1933 O-Pee-Chee you would mail in to get the album to put the cards in.
Oh, very cool.
Oh yeah.
It's very striking.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, eh?
Yeah, it looks like it's kind of a red color, right?
Yeah, it's like sort of orangey in it.
Okay.
It's just got someone had cards in here at one point. Oh, can you see it? Sorry.
Yeah. That's very cool.
Yeah, it's in really nice shape. I mean, it's got sun damage and stuff, but you kind of want it to at this point, right?
Yeah. No, that's really nice. It was very striking. I noticed it right away.
It's a really nice one.
That's cool.
That right there. That's just look at that. Is that not the coolest? It matches the colors of your channel here, Carlos.
Yeah, I decided to go. Red is my favorite color, so I wanted to have an accent color that kind of fit into it. And it's like, yeah, we just
Why doesn't it surprise me that red's your favorite color, Carlos?
I don't know what to say to you. I don't know what to say.
I like that, Ameet. I like that.
Mm-hmm. It happens. But yeah. So one other thing I'll say really quick is that in the course of going through a lot of the conversation that we had, and of course what the chat's been doing. By the way, thank you all in the chat. You've actually been really great having comments and questions and things. It's made a lot of fun. Like I said, I wasn't sure where we were going to go when the show began, and we definitely got there. So it was kind of cool. And we brought in a third person, so why not have a little bit of fun with that as well?
This was fun. I enjoyed this.
Yeah,
I'm sticking around, guys. So
I'm here, so I'm not going anywhere.
yeah, me neither.
Yeah, that's fair.
I
So
just
what
feel
I'll-
like we're hanging out. This is fun.
Yeah.
I'm glad to come in at the very end. Carlos is like, okay, guys, shut up. I want to go. It's over. It's over.
You're talking to a guy who almost went 4 hours just randomly because.
Yeah, but I hear you have nothing on Amish Dave.
No. Dave is like, I think he started a live. I think while he's chatting with us, I think he's doing a live stream that's been going on for like 14 years. I think since the history of YouTube started, it's just been ongoing the whole time. I don't know. I don't know if he knows how to turn it off. That might be the problem. But if you ever see any of their podcasts, like you can literally see the run times on them, Ameet. Like they become epic. It's Ben Hur
Like a comment that you had in your show yesterday, Jeremy, where someone said that they go to bed with Irving on TV and they wake up on TV.
Yeah, that was
Like,
hilarious.
wow. Yeah, that's impressive.
Yeah, the thing is, you can do. I mentioned this before, but it's like you can do that. But I would think if you have the idea in your head that you're going to do a live stream for 6 hours or 5 hours or whatever, yeah, you put intermissions in it. That's what the Twitch streamers do. They're like, all right, guys, I'm going to go for 10 minutes and we'll be right back. And they put music on or something. And then they come back and continue. They give themselves a quick break. So I don't mind hanging around for a little bit longer. That's no issue for me. If we got any questions from the chat, we can definitely address that, but we can
I think the people in the chat room are getting tired. I don't think they have any more questions for us.
That's kind of what I'm seeing. That's the reason I'm paying attention to it. It's like, nope, it looks like they're all worn out for the day. They're ready to go for Monday.
I think we've worn them out. Amish Dave doesn't have a question on left. Oh, he wrote, I sit in left field. I don't know what that's supposed to mean.
I think that's based on a Simpsons episode because the comment right before it is referring to it. So it's a Simpsons reference.
The best line out of Simpsons, out of all the Simpsons shows, is I'm sorry you reached 912 when they call the cops during the Lotto show. At that line, I if I could just take a snippet of that, makes me laugh every single time.
Yeah, here's the throwback. Here's the throwback for you, Jeremy.
Blog TV.
Yeah, that came up last night too.
Yeah. Well, Dave was in the chat with that one. That's part of the reason I pinged him. I was like, Dave was on fire during that chat. So I was like, Dave, is it going on? You're on fire here. Yeah, so that's why I said, all right. I'd already talked about it on the last time I was on with Ameet. I go, yeah, let's do a live stream. We'll set one up, and then we just figured out the particulars. And we'll definitely with that one, it'll be a little more straightforward. This one, I think I'm actually really happy, Ameet, to be honest, because we kind of threw together a couple of questions that we were able to pull, and then kind of made the rest of it work. With Dave, I know we're going to be talking a lot of 90s hockey stuff. I'll be pulling out the old binders like this.
Yeah.
And we'll be doing some definite throwbacks to some of that stuff for sure. But it'll still be open if people want to ask general questions. I'm always open to that.
What else? What were you guys talking about earlier on tonight? What kicked it off again? Oh, the whole ComC and all that.
ComC was a big one for me because, and it's the point I made to Ameet, and I wanted to get his 2 cents on it. My whole thing with the ComC thing isn't that I'm worried about it per se. It's just that the audience that I'm hearing the complaints from is generally not the audience that I do hear the complaints from. So I pay extra close attention to it. It's like listening to the quiet guy who suddenly is very talkative. When that person starts talking, now I'm listening, because the guy who always complains, yeah, whatever. They're always going to be there. But when the ones who generally err on the side of being a little bit more positive start getting really irritated, I'm like, ComC needs to pay attention because those are the people you need to worry about. If they start getting irritated, you don't want that.
True.
That's what I'm saying. Like, we're approaching a critical mass where they've just about running out of grace with a lot of these folks. They're losing their patience. And you've had enough time to at least, if you're not going to be able to remedy it for a couple of more months, say why. You need to go out there and flat out just explain it, because right now a lot of them are like, we know there's a pandemic and that's not going away tomorrow either. Yeah, no, that's fair.
It's a crappy situation all around, right?
Yeah.
By the way, I saw a comment there about podcasts. So I listened to you, Jeremy, your Pokemon show on podcast. It transferred really well.
Okay.
That's cool.
I'm really excited now. So now I can listen to you guys uninterrupted. This is the one complaint I had with my iPhone.
It's
Nice.
because it's, as Carlos explained, it's because we don't have YouTube Premium.
That's
if you
right.
pay $15 a month, it won't shut off when you switch apps.
You can literally turn off the screen and it just keeps going.
Yeah, I can't do that. I pay too much for hobby content.
I'm not paying the $15 a month.
No.
Yeah. So that was Dave's comment, and it's because part of the reason though, and this is the reason why a lot of Dave's podcasts go so long, is that they do end up going on these long. That's why I joked about his last one where they had a topic and it was right in the title, and if they talk for 10 minutes on it in 4 hours, I'd be shocked. It might have been 10 minutes on the topic and 3 hours and 50 minutes. So then I really like this wrestling match. Oh man, remember WrestleMania 17 when this happened? And it's like, and it went. And I was like, I'll give you guys credit. It's like, it rolls if it rolls. So here we go. Do you guys think that hockey is growing on Chris from House of Jordan? Hey, that's a question for you, Jeremy. Are you wearing him down? Is the question.
It is growing on him for sure. I know it is. He's told me. So yeah. I don't know how much he's buying. I don't know how much he's buying, but he's told me that he is like. But I think a lot of things are growing on him because he's seeing everything now with card ladder. He's seeing cards from all sports and even the peripheral sports. So.
Well, I saw that he got the Rogers rookie. So he ventured into that category. The Christian McCaffrey cards a little bit as well, dabbled in that. And there was another card he showed off on Crossover that's also kind of outside his normal Jordan, Luka, realm. So he is playing around with some of these other areas. So there's definitely.
I know he's interested in it. I just don't know if he's purchased any yet. I know that Christina has purchased hockey cards because she's let me know that. But yeah, I know he's interested and intrigued by it. But when you say growing on him, to me for some that almost is it implies buying some too, and I don't not that I know of yet.
I think it's going to be interesting because right now I know they still do the collecting, and he definitely picks up cards as well. But I would think also that since he is doing so much of the stuff for Card Ladder, it's like, how many hours in the day do you have? Because you're talking hobby all the time. You're doing stuff with the hobby. Maybe you're talking hobby and doing stuff in the hobby so long you don't have time to actually participate. It's hard. Can I find a couple of minutes to actually buy a card? And he's very careful about what he actually buys. So it's a measure twice, cut once approach, which is fine. Yeah. That's fair.
Or you can be like me. You can clear cut the forest and worry about it later.
Yeah.
You can what?
Clear cut the forest
and worry about it later.
Like you said earlier, I couldn't decide if I wanted to buy this card or that card, so I just started buying it all. That's what he said earlier, basically. Yeah. I was literally making tacos in our kitchen. I had my earbuds in. My wife's in there talking to me. I'm pretending I'm hearing her. My daughter's there, and I'm cooking and making tacos, and I'm laughing out loud at what you're saying, and they're both kind of looking at me like I'm, all of a sudden I just, you start laughing from out of nowhere, and
you're all like, "What's going on with this guy?"
It's just funny.
It's a fair one, and I know Ameet, you answered this question. I'll just put it up here for everybody else as well. Does anybody know if Upper Deck Series 1 will release in November? So is it just a couple of weeks later? Is that the deal?
It's a couple of weeks later. It'll be in time for the virtual for sure. Like the 18th.
Okay, that's good timing though. If putting it in, it's a good opportunity to cross promote if you can definitely do that.
Well, sorry, what was that? What's on the 18th?
They
new
pushed
Upper Deck
the
Series
release
1.
date for UD Series 1.
Mm-hmm. So 90s Hockey Collector, which who has a lot of cool stuff on Instagram? You mentioned I've
seen a lot of cool stuff on Instagram. Yeah.
Yeah, well, he says on his Instagram, meaning somebody's Instagram. I just don't know who.
I've seen a lot of stuff on his Instagram.
Yeah, and then right underneath it, he puts his.
Who's his? Oh, Chris's.
I would guess so. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be my guess. Oh,
yeah.
We know.
Chris, what Chris does very well is the stories on Instagram. Whenever I log in and on the top, he's always the first story because he reposts a lot of cool stuff that he finds, which is a great way to find more cool accounts to follow and just see cool stuff.
Interesting. Oh, we lost our chief questioner. Amish Dave is going to bed.
Yep. You're good when Dave has to tap out.
We outlasted Amish Dave.
I know.
I'm a little bit disappointed, actually. He's such a marathoner.
I know.
Yeah, I'm gonna shave 4 a.m. and it's okay. Just hang out.
Well, the thing is, the 4 a.m. thing is pretty regular because he does his podcast on Tuesdays. And I think he works also like on Wednesday again, the 4 a.m. thing. But then he still goes on to like, midnight, 1 a.m. my time. And I'm sitting there like,
I don't think we should listen to him right now. Hold on a sec, Dave. Before you go anywhere, Carlos, send him the link. Let's bring him in.
I think he's going to
bring him in. Bring him in. Yeah, bring him in.
Bring him in. Let's bring him in. Send him the link.
If you're out of hiding, Dave, if you're out of hiding, Dave, they've thrown down the gauntlet. I can't help you there.
Can't go to bed yet, Dave.
We'll give him a minute. Yeah, but anything else? I know you've got some. I know you've got our good buddy Jeff coming up on your show, Jeremy.
He's not my good buddy. I've never really met him. I've only emailed with him a few times, but yeah, Jeff is coming on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it should be fun, man.
Yep. This Wednesday, right?
What's that? This Wednesday, yeah.
Cool. That's kind of the reason I brought it up because it is. I think it's the next episode coming up.
Yeah,
so that's going to be the thing. You going to do usual bit? Talk to him a little bit beforehand as well, or has that already happened?
Yeah, no, it's supposed to happen on Tuesday. Cool. We've arranged to do it sort of about an hour after the industry summit ends.
Okay.
So we'll both have 2 days of industry summit under our belts by then, and then Wednesday is the last day of the industry. I'm doing the industry. I've taken the next 3 days off work, and I'm attending this industry summit to check it out.
That's when you know you're taking it seriously.
Yeah, I'm checking it out for sure. It's you know what? What happened was I was watching Beckett Live Presents with Eric Norton, and he had on the guy who works for Beckett that is organizing, basically running the industry summit. And they mentioned that, okay, we're basically, here's when it is. It's all virtual. It's on the same platform that the expo used. So I have experience with the platform. And then he said, the first 350 registrants get the swag package. I'm like, well, I know right there you're gonna do pretty well. So I paid the fee, I paid the freight, and I'm gonna go check it out. Yeah.
Cool. I'm looking forward to Expo. Actually, I have to get myself. I'm gonna start this week getting all my cards sorted and scanned for that.
I'm just looking forward to it starting. I'm not looking forward to leading up to it. I don't know when I'm gonna have time to reprice my cards. Like the way things have changed, you got to go through everything and price it again. If you want to do deals, you need to have your cards priced.
Yep. So it's going to take me, I'll probably take the full month to get myself prepared.
Yeah. Oh yeah. For you, for sure.
Yeah.
Your volume.
So I hope you know what you guys have done. I hope you realize the consequences of your actions. If you look in the chat, okay, I'll actually put it here.
Oh,
there he is.
I hope y'all realize what you've done.
Yeah,
you've done it. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm in for this. I'm gonna have some fun with this. But first, I'm gonna refill my water. So that's gonna be my excuse to refill.
Oh man, I should get a refill of
water.
Talk
amongst yourselves.
You come back and I'll get my water.
Yeah, you can't leave me floating here all alone in Carlos's on Carlos's show.
That's true. But what's even more bizarre is I've got the live video feed and it's like behind by a bit. So it's kind of an odd, like I see your animation, like your facial expression, and I look over here and it just appears a few seconds earlier. It's kind of bizarre. It's so wild.
I have the same thing going too.
Like you just did it again. Whoever's watching us right now, they'll be like, these guys are cracked out.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to get caught up on my side screen here. It's just so you can see the comments.
Yeah, so that's what I've got it here for. So I can see. Normally I don't.
LOL. This show is chaos. I don't even know if it's a show anymore. I think the show ended about 2 minutes after I came in, and now it's just been like we're just chilling, and we haven't stopped the stream.
But you know what's funny? Like, there's 12 watchers now. There was only like 8, I think, before that. Now you have 12. So there's 12 people who signed on to watch this jib jab about nothing.
That's awesome. Or it's the same guys that have now they're going from their like their computer to their phone, and they got it on both. Because sometimes I have that earlier, when you're transitioning, you have it on both.
That's true. That is true. I do that too, actually.
Carlos, it's now official. Carlos, this show is chaos.
Only official?
It's official. Paul says so. This show has gone to chaos.
Paul, that was half the fun. The unfortunate secret truth you don't know is that I welcome chaos. I kind of enjoy it. But let's have a little fun. Speaking of chaos. Dave, what's going on?
There it is.
Hey.
You were just when you got out, Dave. You were getting out. It was happening for you. You were out. You were halfway out the door. You were like shutting it on the way, and then they're like, "Get back here."
Carlos, I think he's in bed.
He might very well be. Oh, is that a couch?
Watching you guys on the
Oh, look at that. That's Inception right there.
big screen.
Yeah. Vinny's enjoying it. There you go. Good stuff. There you go, Vinny. Well, it's funny because you know Jeremy as well as I do that you got the little thing in the corner where you can see the amount of viewers, and it was naturally coming down as time had gone on, and then now it's descending into chaos. All right, it's coming back up.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we've gone full circle.
It's fun, man. This is fun. This is good times. We got a little conference going on here.
So
Virtual Expo back in June.
Yeah.
When just to pass the time, Jeremy's like, "Hey, anybody wants to come on? Let's chat hockey. Let's chat whatever." And
Yeah.
that was my basic introduction to. Well, Carlos, I remember seeing a response video back in February for another YouTuber burning cards and telling people how to collect, but for Jeremy, it was my first.
I'll say it. It was Mike Baseball Collector who did the video. I don't mind naming names. I'm good with it. And the thing is, I
Neither
don't.
do I.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with Mike Baseball Collector. Just to be clear, I don't know if you ever saw that video, Jeremy, but I was very even keel with it. I thought I was pretty fair, Dave.
Who's Mike? Is Mike Base? Is he one of the like OG YouTube guys?
Sort of, yeah.
No.
It's all relative, right? Like you've got eras, like you've got the actual.
I don't know who you're talking about. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. The point is though that he basically he took an attempt at humor. I'll give you the short version. He took an attempt at humor, and his attempt at humor back in the days when you could buy retail. He went and bought a blaster of the current tops. I don't know if it's Series 1 or Series 2, whatever was on the shelf at that moment. So he went in there, and he's not a big fan of like modern cards. He likes vintage. He likes a lot of things, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I know plenty of people who like vintage as well, and I like vintage, so I'm cool with it. And I'm also a fan of humor. But there's well executed humor, and then there's your comedian for YouTuber, which is not necessarily a good thing. So his idea at humor was he would go in and he'd talk about how the cards were on fire. And what he basically did is he opened up the packs and then threw the cards into a fire pit.
He doesn't sound like someone I'd want to listen to.
No,
I mean, yeah.
The irony with this is if it was like an isolated thing, it doesn't matter.
I was much preferring talking about the virtual expo.
We'll get back to it, but I got to give a little bit of context since he brought it up. But the thing is, he is a guy who has promoted himself a lot as a community guy because he's actually got a lot of subscribers. He's got a lot of folks, and he runs in a lot of the circles of a lot of the folks and YouTubers who I watch also. So it makes it a little bit complicated when a guy who kind of puts himself in the middle as kind of a community guy then does a polarizing video. So that was the reason it's important context to note still is that there's no ongoing feud because I made one video about it, but a lot of folks caught on my channel because of it, because they were used to people reacting on one side or reacting on the other. And I just said, look, it was a dumb idea. I didn't like the video, but if he wants to make the video and waste his money, then I'm good with that. And that's kind of the conclusion I came to. Look, it's your money. Do whatever you want to do with it, but then don't complain that some people who like those products then get offended that you would literally burn the product. Again, it's your money. You can do whatever you want, but he was very upset that people took it. People didn't see his humor, didn't think it was hilarious. And then eventually he dramatically said, "Oh, well, I'm going to leave for a while." And then I think that lasted a couple of weeks and he came back.
I hope he's okay. I hope he's doing okay.
Now he's with Bench Clear Media. He's doing things with those guys, with Breaker Culture and all. He's on there.
Maybe that is the guy.
You've seen him before. I promise you've seen him before.
Is he a guy that he's got a son? He talks about is he like the baseball collector guy? I don't know the name.
He's baseball collector. Yeah, that's his name.
Did he help organize that other the Hobby Palooza?
Hobby Palooza, yeah.
Okay, I do know who you're talking about. Yeah. Okay.
So
now this is interesting to me because I know who you're talking about.
The thing is, I suspected it would once you realize who I'm talking about.
Okay.
The point is that I'm cool with whatever when it comes to it, but you can't be two different things. And this is a big thing for me. What I am in front of this camera with all of you here, Jeremy's talked to me. I'm the same guy on that call. So it doesn't make any difference. If you've got a consistency, that's fine. But if you try to be like one thing some of the time, and then some of the time you're another, like we see almost as like a dark side of you, and then you try to like pull it back, that's insincere. I'm not a fan of that. Show some consistency. We're all characters to a certain degree because unless you know the person that you're looking at personally, you don't know what they're going through. You don't know what their full life is like. You don't know. This could still be a show, but at least if there's a consistency to it, when we go offline and one of you wants to talk to me, I'm going to sound a lot the same. And that's
true,
what
guys. It's true. He's just as smug when you're talking to him direct on a
if
phone.
Not more so. If not more so. 100%. I tone it down for the show. I bring it down from 14, 15 down to 11. Just for you guys. Just for you guys. But that's consistency. And that's, to me, that's really important because it's a lot easier for me to trust somebody who is at least close to the picture. But if it's a black and white, completely two different things, and you're showing me two different things, that's not going to work for me.
Yeah.
And that was that was basically the point I took in the video. I didn't slag him. I didn't whatever. And I haven't bothered referencing since.
Dave, I hope you're not like, oh man, I should be sleeping right now. Like,
oh no.
Well, don't you do that on your own podcast all the time?
Sometimes I feel like I'm gonna zonk out because again, I'm on the Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'm usually up at like 5:30 or 6 for work, and Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, I'm either up at like 3:30 or 4 for work. So and I've done it for 16 years, but at the same time, you get older, it gets tougher. And now with the seasons changing. We got our first snow yesterday, like 3 inches up here, 4 inches, and it's like, no, that's too early.
So where are you, Dave? Where are you?
Northeastern Minnesota, like in the Arrowhead, right above Lake Superior.
Oh, so you're north to us. Yeah, okay, yeah.
It's too early for this stuff. Because then
you're like Winnipeg sort of temperatures. I mean, I grew up in Winnipeg, so I know Northeast Minnesota.
Yeah, it's what
I think it borders on Manitoba, actually.
Yeah, it's about 8 hours from you guys up in Winnipeg.
I made that drive a few times back when I was a kid.
I'm laughing right now because whoever's signing in right now is like, what is going on here? What are you guys doing? Like, there's no rhyme or reason. We're just shooting the breeze and like as if we were going to a coffee shop.
So basically, this is Dave's podcast.
Yeah,
but with 4 people instead of 2.
This is like just a total unplanned, random night of hanging out on StreamYard and YouTube.
Yep.
Yeah, and you're there's now 14 people watching. We've had an uptick of people watching.
I'm one of them. I gotta say, I'm one of the 14 because I got it on right there. You're one of them, Ameet.
Oh crap! Yeah, I am. That's true.
Dave's one of them.
Ameet doesn't realize that he's bolstered his own. Ameet, the reason why you're the videos you're on have so many views. Yes, all your refreshes count as views. Ameet.
We should hear from Uncle Vinny, and we should hear from Paul, 90s hockey collector. Who's still around? Like you guys got to interact with us a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is the insert revolution.
But back to the virtual expo, it was like I was out at my aunt's that weekend watching because she had a bunch of animals to take care of: a horse, a donkey, 4 or 5 dogs.
This is the first time I've seen. This is the first time I've seen Little Shop of Heroes. By the way.
Yeah, Eli. That's Eli.
Yeah, I'm with you, but it's the first time I've actually seen him comment. It's like this is like the perfect time. Good job, Dave. It's all you. Go ahead, continue. You were saying.
So I'm like I'm out there. Went to work for a few hours and would come back and then stay there and watch all the animals. So I'm like, okay, the expo's going on. Somebody, I can't remember, Jeremy, you can fill everyone in, like paid for the first X amount of like the $10, the fees or whatever to watch everything or get in and do that. So I'm like, I signed up and I'm like, okay, I want to watch just to see what's going on, just have cards in the life. But then I knew you from the Sports Cards Live and from Hobby Insider. I knew Carlos from that video that we just referenced. And I'd started watching him since then. And I'm like, okay, I'll stick around and do that. And then I know I was on your feed for a little while there, but I mean, we had so many people interacting. I mean, it just, again, that's what I've always preached. Community. Again, sometimes I'm a very abrasive person. I do say a lot of words you don't want to say in church, but at the same time, I'm not going to sugarcoat a lot of stuff if I feel strongly towards something. And you'll know my opinion one way or another on a particular subject if I feel strongly towards it.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was fun. I loved it. And I can't wait for the next, the virtual coming up in November to.
Oh, so that's what
do the same thing.
That's what you were saying before, Dave, when you realize, okay, there's 4 of us on screen right now, that reminded you of the virtual when there were several people in several booths and you were hanging out in my booth for a while. Yeah.
I loved the virtual because I would have my booth going and then I would have another window open and I'm watching Jeremy at his booth and I would just turn the camera off and like be in 2 different places. Then at one point, I don't know what happened, but my channel blew up. And the funniest thing ever, Jeremy and everyone, is like, you know, the moderator that go around and make sure you're okay. The moderator joined my channel and started talking and hanging out with us. Could not believe that was happening. So it's just
the maintenance guys.
Yeah, they were like, "Oh, I've been watching your show from afar. I'm the IT guy, but I'm just gonna hang out." I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah.
Well, I think was that when I was on there with you,
Yeah.
Ameet? Yeah. So I started off, I was hanging out with Jeremy for a little bit, and then Ameet says, "Hey, come on by." And then I said, "Okay, sure, I'll pop in for a while." And then we ended up hanging out there for a while.
About an hour. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just, but it was basically live streaming, but in that platform, and it was the same idea.
Do you guys know JR Exotic? He's a buddy of mine.
I know JR.
JR, buddy, man, he's local. He lives here in Calgary with me. No, not with me, but you know he lives here too. So we trader night at Maple Leaf Sports for 10 years. You know I forget what he changed the schedule, but it used to be the 3rd Wednesday of every month or something like that.
Right.
And I'd seen JR there for probably 10 years. Once a month for 10 years.
He's a Dallas fan too.
Yeah, he's a Dallas
fan.
Interesting.
But the funny thing is that it doesn't surprise me that a couple of people show up, because I think that's part of the reason, Dave, why I'm sure your numbers fluctuate as you go along, is that some people are like, wait, has somebody been live streaming this long? What the heck's going on? And then you click out of curiosity, like, what is this?
Have you guys seen this? There's this girl down in Florida. She works in a card shop, or it's her card shop, I'm not sure. And she'll stream for like 11, 12 hours sometimes.
Titan Cards.
Allie from Titan. Yeah. And I watched her live one time. She gets tip after tip after tip. Like people like tip, like what are they? Super chats.
Yeah. Super chats.
She gets a lot. She makes a lot of money streaming live, breaking cards. She's got a lot of people watching.
Yeah. The thing is that,
and she's fully clothed. You know what I mean? Like, she is. So.
I love that he felt the need to make this point. It's like, no, you don't understand. She gets tip after tip, but she's wearing her clothes.
The funny, I didn't even go there, Jeremy. I wasn't even thinking that.
I mean, everyone else went there. Every other single soul went there. The number spiked up to like 30,000. They're like, oh, close.
See, look at Paul's comment. Oh, sorry, I'm looking at Paul's comment from there. It is. It's up there.
Yeah.
Oh shit! It's coming up there first. Anyway, I'm looking at Paul's comment, and yeah, that's what sucks about YouTube. I hate that.
You know that YouTube wants you to pay for premium.
I know, but that's why I won't. I want to be able to listen to my stuff like on podcasts. I can leave it and do other things in parallel. Like I can actually like leave my phone and it won't auto go to sleep, and then my YouTube content shuts off. Like I don't.
Yeah, and then you come back. And you're behind, and the commenting is off and all that, right? Like
you're like, it's like mind blowing. And I'm like, you know what? Like I want ease of use, not use like pay for use.
So that's you brought it back. So that
I brought it back. When you referenced it, I put it on the screen so we could all be looking at it. So everybody, Jeremy's a little new to live streaming. It's okay. We'll teach him. We'll get him there. Get him up to speed.
I'm obviously not new to live streaming, but I'm new to live streaming and then watching it over there. at a different time.
Dave, as a veteran
what
of
would be
live
really
streaming,
funny?
could you help young Jeremy out a little bit? Could you give him some assistance, please?
No, you can do, Carlos. Is you can
Okay.
share screen and show the live chat
Yeah.
on screen with us.
I could do that, yes, but it
So
would create
Rob-
a looping thing, and I'd rather not.
So me and Ameet will have it 3 times in front of us then.
Yes.
Exactly. That is true. We could do that, but not today. That is fair. Okay, so comment here. I'll just put this up here. Yeah, no, that's fair. The thing is, trade nights, a lot of those in-person things, it is a loss to lose that. You mentioned, Jeremy, you've been to trade nights with JR Exotic?
Yeah, for years. The Card Farmer, he set up at Expo a couple times. That's where Ameet would know him from. He's come out to Expo, and he's come out to buy. Yeah, super good dude. Super good dude. Yeah.
You just had a baby girl? No.
Yeah. Had a baby girl. Probably at least a year ago now. Yeah.
There's a suggestion, Ameet. There you go.
You're doing well too, JR.
You're getting advice here, Ameet. Go for it.
Just steal your wife's phone when she goes to bed. That's you know what? He's one of the nicest guys I've ever met. I'll tell you that, and very easy to talk to and hang out with. So I miss having you at the expo, buddy.
Yeah, missed the expo.
Oh God, the expo. It feels like it was like eons ago since we had one.
I can't believe we've missed 2 already. Like without
potentially 3.
Potentially, but without it, we would have been there and back twice. Well, okay, the next one hasn't happened yet, but pretty soon, like there and back twice.
You know, it's funny though, because we're gonna have the next real expo, and everyone's gonna be like, "You don't sound the same."
I didn't know you had a full body. I thought you were cut off right about
You're not
here.
a floating head.
What?
Jeremy, Jeremy has those floating head cutouts.
But think of the disappointment. A lot of people are going to be like, I thought you were a floating head.
You know what you're going to do? Jeremy, do you need to make the actual cardboard cutouts of overtime? Just hold it up.
Just have it over your head like a costume you walk around with it.
It'd be like a selfie shot.
That would be so funny.
Yeah.
I didn't say hi to Eli. Hi, Eli.
Hey, Eli.
Eli is an Expo regular. He's a stalwart at Expo.
Yeah.
So actually, let me ask you guys a question.
3.
Since
She's
we're
almost 3. Never mind a year. She's almost. I was right. At least I said at least a year.
Nice. 3 is higher than 1. Yes.
Yeah, 3 is higher than 1.
We did it, you guys. So let me ask you guys a question though. Since we brought it up, we talked about the expo. We're gonna have the next virtual expo. We're gonna be doing this thing again. But now they brought in the Chicago kind of cross promotion thing to go along with it. Any thoughts about that? What do you think that's going to change up about bringing? Obviously, more dealers, I would think, but also anything else you think is going to change up a little bit?
I hope more traffic. I think it's gonna be more of the same, just more people. I mean,
think so.
that'd be good. I honestly hope there's more people I get to meet along the way. But I don't think it's going to change anything from my process. I'll still be doing the same thing I did before.
I just opened up my YouTube, and that's what's on my opening screen. It's us and the guy the baseball guy.
Yep, that's the one. Yep. Yo and hello, Jeremy. Yo and hello.
Us and him.
Yep.
So we're all together tonight.
It's like Beetlejuice. You just say it, and he appears.
That's funny, hey? That's pretty crazy.
Yeah. I always separate out 2 things. I look at what they do, their content. One of the big things I have with it is that the content isn't that great. Like I'll watch it from time to time. Like forget about everything else. It's just it gets a little repetitive. I don't mind people showing cards, but if it needs to feel like you brought a little something to the table, like show me the cards, but then say something about them. Maybe why you decided to pick it up. Tell me something. It can be anything. It doesn't really matter. Just throw a little story in there. And that's why I try to, because if I just did a pickup video where I just showed you the cards, and I could be done in like 3 minutes and it's over. It doesn't take a lot of work for me to just put the card in front of the screen, go to the next one, go to the next one, go to the next one. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
And that's just and that's as much a benefit for me watching it later if I need a reminder. Like, oh, when did I pick up that card? And I can kind of refer back. I have a visual record. But then it's also for the people who will watch it. It's like, I want to make it a little more interesting for you as opposed to me just scanning through the cards quickly because it's like, that's no fun.
By the way, to answer JR's question about Expo outdoors, that would be a logistical nightmare.
Oh, it'd be horrific. You get
B,
killed with weather.
can you imagine like snow all over your cards?
I'm pretty sure you'd do it in the summer and not in the winter. Ameet. Could you imagine? It's like, you guys, we're doing the Fall Expo outside. We're doing it. And they're like, what about it? It's like, don't be a wuss, be a man. It's like, we're Canadians, we can handle the elements. Like, no, I wasn't born in Canada. I was born in Panama in the middle of July. I'm like basically the equator bros. Like, I'm out. It's like, I like hot weather, man. Leave me alone.
You got like those portable heaters, right?
I know.
You got that little yellow spot in the snow to go to your bathroom. Like
that's when we can have the proper igloos, Dave. So you can come when we actually have the igloo booth.
Dave,
that's where it'll happen.
Dave lives north of you guys, so he knows all about winter and igloos.
Winter, yes, but do you build the igloos in Minnesota, Dave? Do you build the igloos?
do you know what happened here, Carlos? You know what just happened? Amish Dave has injected his own style of YouTubing into what we were doing.
Yeah.
Ameet, if you may recall, mere minutes ago, before I sent Dave the link, I did say, do you realize what you've done? I knew what was going to happen. And I allowed it because I said, well, I will let the children learn. Please, please. It's like, you will learn. I already know. Go ahead, Dave. You were saying?
Good. Too good.
We just do the Amish furniture here. We don't deal with the igloos.
That's kind of what I figured. I said, like, the igloo is like kind of patent pending. We got it.
And I think it's a playoff, and I've never looked it up, but I mean, Rocky and Bullwinkle, they used to have Frostbite Falls in the cartoon.
Yep.
I'm fairly sure that's a direct correlation to International Falls, which is on the Ontario Minnesota border.
Okay.
So, and that's usually one of the nation's coldest spots. When anytime you see something like it's 60 below, well, it's got to be International Falls, Minnesota. So that's that. They may do the igloos over there. I would travel there quite a number of years, but between them and Fort Francis up in Ontario, they may have a couple igloo factories going.
Hey, I'm from Newfoundland, and we don't have igloos out there either. So don't worry.
The igloos are like way north, guys. Let's be serious here. Come on, we're misleading people.
I want to mislead the Americans, Jeremy. I always want to mislead the Americans at all times.
I don't think we can be serious tonight, though. I think we've lost.
Also that.
But you guys have a 3% battery.
So you got about 15 minutes.
No, not in this phone. This F9 it gets under 20%, and it's just like when you're outside playing basketball or something in the summer, and you have to take a cold drink of water, beer, whatever you're drinking. It's gone immediately. It just like tick, tick, tick.
Yeah.
Oh, you have the race condition phone?
Yeah,
it just drains.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of drains, I think I'd better go to sleep. I think
Carlos, we're losing half of our contingent here.
Well, I kind of figured we'd go. So one last thing before then Dave goes, before his battery dies out. So we'll reconvene on Thursday. Dave and I are going to hang out. We're going to be talking some 90s hockey predominantly, but questions are going to be open just like normal. If something comes up and it's interesting, worth talking about, I want to talk to Dave a little bit about kind of what he likes in YouTube as well. Kind of, I alluded to it a little bit. We'll bring it back and we'll talk about it a little bit more because that's something that comes up a lot on his show. But it's something we'll talk about. We'll do it in an irreverent style as you got a taste of it. That's why I was okay bringing him on. I was like, you're going to get a sneak preview. This is what it's going to look like, minus Jeremy and Ameet, but this is basically what's going to happen.
Is our Uncle Jimmy and Amish Dave related?
Uncle Vinny, no. He's one that came on the Essential Credentials when Matt from that channel and I were on, I think back in early August. And I hadn't known Vinny from anyone else, but he came in and he was asking all kinds of hockey questions too. And I've always tried to do that, even if I don't know a lot about something. If I know something about something and somebody knows relatively little, I'll ask or I'll answer whatever you got that you're asking. I'll try to find an avenue, but actually get the answer to it.
Ameet sounds.
I was going to say, Ameet, are you punch drunk? Because it wasn't that funny.
Well, and when Ameet laughs, it mutes Dave, so I can't hear what Ameet's laughing at.
I know. It's like you can cackle as much as you want on me, but you got to do it on mute to give Dave a shot to finish the sentence. Yeah. No, but you do get a sense of that. It's one of those things where I think it's what I've said before to Jeremy, and the same thing I say with Dave here and everybody. All of these channels and all of these live streams and all these things you're doing, they don't need to be the same, and they shouldn't be. And I don't want to see them all be the same. Dave needs to do his thing in his style. Jeremy needs to do his in his style. Even if I talk to the same people, I don't do the exact same interview he does because that would be no fun. And what's the point? I got to take my slant on it. He's got his slant on it. It's complementary. Dave's got his style on it. It complements something, I think. Allegedly. But between him and Steve, you'll get entertainment. That I can assure you. You will get entertainment.
A little.
What caliber of entertainment that is? Question mark.
Well, you know what? I love. I'm going to sign off soon, but we got to name drop Ziggy Palfy and Greg Jeffries one more time in our show.
Nice.
So that worked out well. We
Beautiful.
got Jeremy on. That worked out well. I got to meet Amish Dave in his weird landscape portrait mode right now.
Well, I suspect the phone is in the process of dying.
Yeah.
So I'll just say bye. I'll just say bye to Dave. I don't know if he can hear me still or not, but I'll say bye to you, buddy, and we'll talk more on Thursday.
Oh, he's
And
done. He's frozen. Yeah.
That's what I mean. So I'm going to drop him off here.
You got to boot him.
Yep, that's all
This
good.
was fun, though. Seriously, this was fun. I enjoyed this.
No, once we got going, I was like, yeah, Jeremy, come on. And then once Dave agreed to the challenge, I was like, yeah, bring him on. Why not? We'll have a little fun.
You guys did like a solid 2 hours, just the two of you at least.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah. So there'll be a little bit of it. So one last thing I'll leave everybody with, and we will wind down this time properly. We'll do it. But I'll leave everybody with this because it is the next thing that's going to come up. Like I said, I'm going to be hanging out with Dave on Thursday. But before we get to that point, we got Sports Card Live and Jeremy's. So that's going to go up here. If you haven't been on the channel before, for some reason, if his hat and the general shameless plugs aren't enough, then we've got this. So the next thing that's going to happen, don't let his dancing, whatever that was, dissuade you. The show's good. I don't know what that was, but the show's good.
Raising the roof.
He was raising the roof, man. Come on.
Yeah,
Like,
Carlos.
we need to raise you up out of this frame.
That's right.
This is what happens when you get two guys with a combined age approaching 100 to try to be cool. But anyway, okay. So what we're going to do is I'm going to put Sports Card Live on the screen here. And I'm going to say to you that the show's good. Hopefully he doesn't try that during his actual show. You never know. He might. But he'll be talking with Jeff from Sports Card Investor, if that interests you. It'll be an interesting conversation, to be honest with you. I will be checking it out for sure because I'll be interested to see what he has to say, what he's going to talk about. I've seen a lot of his stuff, so I'll be interested to see kind of the angles. I've talked to Jeremy offline about this. I'll be interested to see the angle he takes on it because I've listened to a lot of his interviews, and if he takes his own slant on it, I think it could be potentially very interesting and illuminating. Because there's a lot, and Jeff has made a dent for himself in the hobby. One way or the other, no matter how you feel about it, he's definitely had an impact because he's built a pretty large channel and a pretty large following based on what he's built so far. And the Market Movers tool is still here. So I expect it to be relevant, at least for the next while going forward, for sure.
I don't think that tool's going anywhere.
I think so.
I do recommend you watch that video on the Comeback Card Investors channel with the VP of I forget the gentleman's name, but he's a VP with for Jeff's Sports Card Investor company. It was very interesting. Did you see it, Carlos?
I haven't had the chance to check it yet, but if he did put something on there, I'll check it out. Kind of, even if I'm not doing the show, I'll still do my research. So I'll be pulling that up and looking at it myself, kind of to see how that plays off of what you do end up doing on your episode. But yeah, so we'll leave it at that. Jokes notwithstanding, we like to have a lot of fun, but do check out Jeremy's episode on that on Wednesday.
Highly recommend it.
Absolutely. Because it is going to be very interesting to see what gets presented there, how it gets shown off, and what he has to say about it.
Yeah.
And that'll be another little piece adding to the puzzle as we kind of figure this thing out and kind of navigate going forward. And then he does his show on Wednesday and also do shows on Saturday. And then there's the after hours that's basically on Sunday morning in the East Coast, Saturday night if you're in the West or somewhere else.
And both of those guys have been guests on the After Hours show.
That's right. Absolutely.
Admittedly, I was exhausted. I don't know how I got through that. But that's like 2:30 in the morning my time. We were done.
Absolutely. So we're about to sign
Eli.
off.
Peace out, Eli.
We love you, Eli.
Nice to see you, buddy.
So with that, we'll sign off. Thanks, everybody. We cleared 3 hours. Of course, if Amish Dave's involved, that was naturally going to happen. He just seems to exude that. That always tends to happen.
See you. I want to say good night to JR. Good night,
Good night, JR.
Yep.
Good night, Paul. Good night, Uncle Vinny.
Thanks for sticking by with us.
And we'll give Paul the last word here. Variety is the spice of life. True words, Paul. True words.
Well said. Well said.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you. If you've never been to the channel before, subscribe and check it out. We do live streams occasionally. Right now, I'm working on doing semi-regular live streams with Ameet. We'll figure it out as we go along.
Yeah.
But as we go along, I do talk to a lot of other folks in the hobby doing kind of live streams like this. Not always exactly this way, but we'll definitely do different types. And then I do my own standalone videos where I talk about different topics as things come up.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I roll on my channel. Thanks, Ameet. Appreciate you.
Ameet, did you see this last night?
No, I didn't. Oh, nice.
There you
Like
go.
me.
That is nice.
2018-19.
Yeah, that is nice.
Look at this guy. All right, Jeremy, thank you for joining us as well. Kind
I'm
of short
sorry.
notice and impromptu.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Carlos. I'm doing a show and tell.
Yeah. No, you can keep going. I'm going to hit the
That's
red
really
button.
deadly.
You just keep going. Don't let me
I just
interrupt you. Have a good night, everybody.